Chapter 21. Two Dead Cities. The Lady of the Pure Heart spread out her divine sense, enveloping the two towns. Not only Upper River Town was a city of the dead, but also Lower River Town. The so-called life here was nothing more than a group of corpses moving about. No wonder the red dust ancestor, who even unsettled the heart of celestial gods, stirred no ripples when she came here. How could the dead possibly have any feelings for a beautiful woman? She was horrified and had never seen such a sight. There were 8 small towns near the red dust pure land, and the Lady of the Pure Heart was worried whether the conditions in the other 6 towns were the same as here. The other 6 towns were far away from here, and couldn't be covered by her divine sense. Luckily, Zhongli soon provided an answer. Everything is normal in the other 6 towns, Zhongli pondered, adding. They are all alive. The Lady of the Pure Heart thought to herself, it would be better if you didn't explain. The Lady of the Pure Heart's divine sense could cover 2 small towns because it was limited to 2 small towns. Zhongli's divine sense could cover 8 small towns, because there were only 8 small towns. Even if the 6 towns were very normal, the Lady of the Pure Heart was not happy. How long have you not been here? If only someone at the divinity transformation stage had come, it wouldn't have ended up like this. Such methods of controlling corpses to maintain their actions from their lifetime was extremely high level, only a person at the divinity transformation stage could detect any clues. The Lady of the Pure Heart explained dejectedly. The divinity transformation stage practitioners have started their fasting. In the eyes of the elders, the spiritual valleys are just small matters. They don't worry about any problems with the spiritual valleys, thus only those hopeless disciples at the golden core stage are stationed here. It is manageable for one person at the nascent soul stage to manage the 8 towns, there shouldn't be any problems. But now a big problem has arisen. Zhongli said seriously. The two arrived at a small pub below, and the waiter received them warmly. Yo, the 2 guests seem to be fresh faces, from outside, right? That's rare. Is the lady here from the red dust pure land? Seeing the breathtaking beauty of the Lady of the Pure Heart, the waiter asked uncertainly. The Lady of the Pure Heart did not say a word, just nodded. Young man, I want to ask you something. Zhongli took out a low-grade spirit stone and placed it on the table. Sir, this is not acceptable, you 2 are dignitaries from the red dust pure land, we cannot accept your money. The waiter was startled and hastily refused. After some evasion, the waiter eventually accepted the spirit stone. Here, transactions are done in copper coins, a low-grade spirit stone is an extremely rare commodity. The Lady of the Pure Heart raised an eyebrow slightly. The waiter's movements were smooth and natural, not stiff in the slightest. Going by the naked eye alone, there was no difference from a living person. She carefully observed the waiter with her divine sense and discovered 2 worms in his dantian and sea of consciousness. 1 male and 1 female, one controlling action, and the other controlling thought. There was a very high level of corpse control technique. This was a corpse control technique unique to the Gu clan. And as far as she knew, the disciple stationed here was a member of the Gu clan. She hid her discovery in her heart and quietly watched Zhongli converse with the waiter. Have any particularly beautiful celestial maidens passed by here in recent years? Without hesitation, the waiter said. The fact is, 2 years, no 3 years ago, a celestial maiden as beautiful as someone stepped out of a painting came through here. Everyone forgot to eat and ran out to look. But, the celestial maiden didn't even glance at us, she just walked on barefoot. Some people even wanted to follow her, but were stopped by Celestial Yuan. Celestial Yuan she is the Celestial Yuan Ling who is stationed here. So, Celestial Yuan Ling also saw the lady as beautiful as a painting. What was her reaction? Did she show any obsessed expression? Did she kidnap the lady? The waiter was frightened, and quickly whispered. How can you say that, sir? How could Celestial Yuan Ling lose her composure like that? She just casually expressed that the lady was pretty. The Lady of the Pure Heart's brows slightly furrowed. Since Sister Yuan Ling was of Gu clan, she naturally wouldn't be affected by the red dust ancestor. But why was she unaffected? Strange. Zhongli, as if he hadn't noticed the problem, just casually chatted with the waiter about how the harvest was this year, where Yuan Ling was now, how many spirit stones the red dust pure land was using to purchase spirit valleys, and whether there were any deductions. The waiter thought these 2 were investigators sent from the red dust pure land, so he answered all questions truthfully. Lastly, Zhongli asked with a smile. Do you know that you are already dead? The waiter was puzzled. Sir, what are you talking about? Ha ha, just a joke, just a joke. Zhongli laughed, letting the confused waiter go on with his work. Did Yuan Ling do it? Don't jump to conclusions so quickly. You heard it too, Yuan Ling is not affected by the red dust fairy. This matter isn't as simple as you think it is. Yuan Ling should only be at the golden core stage, and judging from the state of development of the worms, these people are completely like living persons, even unaware of their own deaths. This isn't something a golden core stage practitioner could do. Moreover, it's not only the GU clan who uses worms. Zhang Li, who had been wandering around for many years and seen many strange and bizarre things, naturally thought of more possibilities than the Lady of the Pure Heart, who had only symbolically descended the mountain and roamed a few years before returning to her sect. Unfortunately, the GU clan was on the decline and chose to hide from the world, so Zhang Li didn't know much about the GU. Yuan Ling is not here, I don't know where she's gone. Let's go to Lower River Town. I sensed a female golden core practitioner in Lower River Town. She should be one of yours. Zhang Li scanned Upper and Lower River Town with his divine sense once again, but did not find a golden core stage energy signal in Upper River Town. Du Exener was sitting in a cheap spirit gathering array, working hard at her practice. She just couldn't understand why her spiritual power had been stagnant for the past few years. She felt like her body was a leaky bucket, with the same amount of spiritual energy entering and exiting. Maybe I'm not suited to cultivation. Being here is probably fitting for me. Du Exener laughed mockingly at herself. She believed her decision to come to Lower River Town was a right choice. People like me are just a burden in the sect. It's better to come out. Who said you were a burden? A clear voice resounded in Du Exener's ear, and only then did she realize that the Lady of the Pure Heart was standing in front of her. Beside her stood a handsome man. For some reason, there seemed to be unshed tears in the saint's eyes. How could the Lady of the Pure Heart not feel heartbroken? She didn't have much of an impression of Yuan Ling, but as for Du Exener, she had a deep memory. Golden Core stage disciples thought of her as a high and unapproachable saint, afraid to approach her. Among the Golden Core stage disciples, only Du Exener dared to frequently ask her about cultivation knowledge. And after not seeing her for several years, they were now living in different worlds. In the eyes of the Lady of the Pure Heart, Du Exener was likewise a moving corpse. I failed you, I failed in my duty. The Lady of the Pure Heart fell to her knees, hugging Du Exener and sobbing. Du Exener wasn't aware of the situation, so she just stayed seated, gently patting the Lady of the Pure Heart's back. Chapter 22, Yuan Ling's Testimony. All right, look at me, I'm fine, please don't cry. Du Exener said in a calm, comforting voice. Despite not knowing exactly what had happened, she was still consolingly Pure Heart Sacred Woman. But Du Exener's words felt like a knife stab to Pure Heart Sacred Woman's heart, causing her distress. She managed to muster her spirits and introduced. This is the current human emperor, Zhang Li. Du Exener lightly covered her mouth in surprise. So you're the one my elder sister often talks about. She seemed to recall something, made faces at Pure Heart Sacred Woman, and flashed a mischievous smile. Pure Heart Sacred Woman gave a forced smile in return. Human Emperor, I heard you have supreme martial abilities, regarded as the first of JoJo, capable of anything, equating the immortal, is that true? Du Exener asked curiously. I thought I was capable of everything, but I've realized that I can't become an immortal or reverse life and death. I'm just immortal. The atmosphere at the scene was a bit awkward. Zhang Li helped Pure Heart Sacred Woman up and said. Red Dust Pure Land is planning to circulate and dispatch each Golden Core cultivator to experience life in small towns for some years. I wanted to ask for your opinions and thoughts. Excitement flickered in Du Exener's eyes, interpreting this as a chance to return to the sect. However, her excitement dampened instantly. Now that she can't improve her strength, she thought her return to the sect would be a waste of resources. It'd be better for her to stay here. I'm fine here. Sticking to your duties, diligently persevering without asking for anything, continue your commitment to diligent practice even after leaving the mountain. I will tell Taoist Qingyu the truth. Why? Du Exener got anxious, glaring at Zhang Li. And why is the human emperor responsible for our sect affairs? If the sect leader knew about her attitude, she would undoubtedly receive praise and be replaced by a more talented sister. Wouldn't that be a waste of the sister's time? Your sect's management is lacking. I'm giving my advice on behalf of Taoist Qingyu. Seeing that Du Exener still had words to say, Zhang Li subtly changed the subject, asking casually. Let's leave this matter aside. We didn't see Yuan Ling in Upper River Town. Where did she go? Not sure. Recently Sister Yuan Ling often leaves Upper River Town, and she's gone for several months each time, but she'll be back during autumn harvest, which is these few days. Since they couldn't find Yuan Ling, both of them decided to stay in Lower River Town and keep Duexener company. Zhang Li took out the remote communication talisman and called Zhang Konggu. Konggu, go to the southern border and find some GU clan people to investigate. Figure out what cultivation level is needed to develop a corpse GU that can make the dead move freely and unaware of their death. Upon hearing this, Zhang Konggu rushed towards the southern border, ignoring Dream River Dynasty and Emperor Wei's calls to finish eating before leaving. A few days passed quickly. Duexener felt so happy. She had Pure Heart Sacred Woman and Human Emperor Zhang Li by her side, teaching her cultivation and imparting knowledge on cultivation and telling stories about JoJo. She also told Human Emperor Zhang Li that she was unable to increase her cultivation. Zhang Li simply pat her on the head, reassuring her that it was normal, cultivation couldn't be rushed, and it would get better over time. He himself had also experienced this before. However, Duexener didn't notice Zhang Li's gloomy eyes. How could cultivation from a dead body possibly lead to an increase in cultivation? Junior Sister Exener, we're going to inspect other towns, it's time for us to leave. Pure Heart Sacred Woman detected with her divine sense that Yuan Ling had finally returned. A rare cruelty flashed in her eyes, gone as quickly as it came, without Duexener noticing. Pure Heart Sacred Woman and Zhang Li smoothly flew to Upper River Town and they pinned Yuan Ling, who was obviously drunk, to the ground. Who are you? You dare to act against me in our red dust Pure Land? Oh, it's elder sister Pure Heart. Initially, owing to her intoxication, Yuan Ling was defiant and aggressive, but she immediately quieted down upon recognizing Pure Heart Sacred Woman. Pure Heart Sacred Woman didn't speak, she just took Yuan Ling to an empty room and threw her into a corner. The whole process was quite rough, completely disregarding her previous dignified and generous sacred woman image. Yuan Ling was also an exceptional beauty, which had led to her becoming a disciple of Red Dust Pure Land. As a member of the GU clan, she still loved dressing up with silver earrings and headpieces after leaving the clan. Her dressing style was quite revealing and easily attracted men's attention. She was in pain from Pure Heart Sacred Woman's rough handling. Her silver ornaments were disheveled, and her revealing clothing was even more torn. Yet, she didn't dare to utter a word. Yuan Ling had never seen Pure Heart Sacred Woman so angry before. Zhang Li quietly followed behind her, letting Pure Heart Sacred Woman vent her anger. Such events caused Zhang Li anger, but Pure Heart Sacred Woman was even angrier. Two whole small towns of Red Dust Pure Land had turned into dead towns. She viewed this as her failure. A serious failure. Speak, where have you been? Why haven't you returned for several months? There's nothing here, just a bunch of farmers. I went to play in the Dream River Dynasty for a while. Yuan Ling answered honestly and immediately defended herself. But I always come back for the autumn harvest, you see, I always submit my spirit grain on time, never late. Pure Heart Sacred Woman felt like fire was burning in her chest, wanting to vent but unable to. Yes, exactly, because there was never a problem with the spirit grain, no one came to inspect. If there was a problem with the spirit grain, they could have discovered the problems with the two towns. Then why is there not a single living person in Upper River Town and Lower River Town? Pure Heart Sacred Woman asked in an almost accusing manner, more like a reproach than a question. Yuan Ling was taken aback, breaking into a cold sweat. Initially, she thought Pure Heart Sacred Woman was angry because she left her post without permission. She hadn't thought that the incident involving the use of corpse bones could be carried out. Master, what are you talking about? Answer me, Pure Heart Sacred Woman roared so loudly that Yuan Ling's heart skipped a beat. Stiffening her scalp, Yuan Ling stutteringly said, I wasn't willing, you know. To play in the Dream River Dynasty, I need spirit stones. So, I took a bit of the spirit stones meant for buying spirit grain, just a little. Those troublesome people complained that I gave them too few spirit stones and they refused to work. In a fit of anger, I killed a few of those troublemakers who were stirring up trouble. Then, someone started to shout about telling the sect. I panicked, and I killed everyone. To prevent the sect from discovering, I used the corpse GU to control their dantian, letting them continue to plant the spirit grain. Sister, look, making them plant spirit grain, we wouldn't have to give them spirit stones in the future, isn't it great? What Yuan Ling did not say was that after she used the corpses to nurture the GU, the sect would still issue spirit stones for her to buy spirit grain. Of course, she wouldn't give the spirit grain to a bunch of dead people, instead she spent all the spirit stones luxuriously in Dream River Dynasty. What about Lower River Town? Duexener is your junior sister, how could you attack her? Yuan Ling whined, I had no choice. Lower River Town is too close to here. I was afraid that junior sister Duexener would sense something, so I killed her too, and while I was at it, I killed everyone in Lower River Town. Yuan Ling cried, elder sister, please be generous and forgive me this once, I didn't do it on purpose. Pure Heart Sacred Woman coldly said, do you know that you're already dead? In the eyes of Pure Heart Sacred Woman and Zhang Li, Yuan Ling was also a corpse controlled by the GU, the only thing was, she had no idea of it herself. Chapter 23, The Terrifying Heart Control GU. Seeing that Yuan Ling was not aware that she was already dead, one could not expect her to identify who had murdered her. Zhang Li was able to discern the sequence of events. Firstly, Yuan Ling killed everyone in 2 small towns, before controlling their bodies with corpse worm, enabling them to carry on with their normal production. However, at her level, she could only use Dantian corpse worm to control their behaviors, but not their way of thinking. Subsequently, whoever killed Yuan Ling took control of her with the corpse worm as well, this time using the Sea of Knowledge worm on everyone else. In this way, everyone in the 2 small towns could appear as if they were living beings. Even if a nascent soul stage practitioner came, they would not have identified any issues. However, Zhang Li could not understand what was the objective. What was the purpose of the person behind all this? The Pure Heart Saintess, with her radiant smile, asked Zhang Li to leave the room, which gave her the opportunity to be alone with Yuan Ling. Zhang Li, with his skin crawling at her smile, moved far away. However, Zhang Li's intuition was beyond the ordinary, as he could faintly hear the cries coming from the room. The cries gradually faded to silence. The Pure Heart Saintess cleaned the blood off herself using a spell and walked out of the room, laughing. She then heard the message Zhang Li had left for her. There seems to be a problem with Duexener, I'm going to check it out. The Pure Heart Saintess quickly arrived at Lower River Town and found Zhang Li and Duexener in a kitchen, with something still steaming on the stove. What happened? Zhang Li was holding a handful of rice, lost in thought, while Duexener stood still, her eyes devoid of spirit. I've been monitoring this place with my divine sense and I noticed Duexener was pouring this stuff into the husked spirit rice. It was an act against logic. The 8 small towns would not give lingu directly to Red Dust Pure Land, but instead they would husk lingu into spirit rice. Spirit rice was delivered to Red Dust Pure Land while the rice bran was retained, buried in the soil to increase its spiritual energy content. During this process, Duexener only needed to supervise, but not only did she fail to do so, she brought a rice tub from the cellar and was going to pour the rice from the tub into a pile of newly husked spirit rice. Zhang Li pointed to the side, and Pure Heart Saintess followed his gaze to find a tub of spirit rice, apparently normal. I would advise you not to use your divine sense to examine this tub of spirit rice, your heart won't be able to bear it. If Zhang Li had not said so, the Pure Heart Saintess would not have done this. However, his warning made her curious enough to use her divine sense to scan it. Could it resist the divine sense? The Pure Heart Saintess increased the intensity of her divine sense and saw the horrors hidden beneath the skin of the spirit rice. Pure Heart Saintess turned pale and started retching. Having already undergone fasting, her body was pure, hence there was nothing for her to throw up. This wasn't a tub of spirit rice, it was a tub full of worms disguised as spirit rice. Junior Sister Exener, what are you trying to do? Duexener snapped back to her senses, confusedly said. Isn't there a rule in our sect to pour this barrel of spirit rice into the spirit rice pile? Who told you that? When did Red Dust Pure Land have such a rule? Duexener tried hard to recall, realizing that although she remembered this rule, she couldn't remember who told her about it. Zhang Li broke open 1 grain of spirit rice with his fingernail, exposing the extremely tiny white worm inside, and displayed it in front of Duexener. Do you know what this is? Confused by Zhang Li's actions, Duexener queried. Isn't this just spirit rice? Is there something else inside it? Zhang Li said nothing more and asked Duexener to leave. Someone has tampered with her cognition, making her think that this is just a vat of ordinary spirit rice, a trick of the corpse worm. Zhang Li lifted the lid off the steaming pot on the stove, revealing a bowl of fragrant spirit rice. He picked up 1 grain of rice, broke it open and, again, found a white worm inside. And this time, it was alive and seemed even more vigorous than before. Someone has introduced GU worms into the spirit rice, causing people from your Red Dust Pure Land to ingest them. We're unsure of the worms' effects though. The Pure Heart Saint's face was ashen. The remote communication talisman flashed and Zhang Li answered. Brother Zhang, I found the GU clan. Zhang Konggu, who was like a black bear, appeared before Zhang Li and said in a deep voice. They said that at the very least, they need to reach the body integration realm to cultivate corpse worms that can animate corpses. But they're also uncertain. They're just guessing based on records, since there are no experts in the GU clan currently. The most powerful is only at the nascent soul stage. Zhang Konggu sighed as he said this. He knew that the GU clan was concealed from the world, but he didn't expect them to be in such a state. After all, there were great figures in the GU clan who ascended to the immortal realm in the past. I also asked who can cultivate GU worms. They said that one must read the ancient texts offered up in the ancestral hall. These texts are strictly guarded, making them impossible for outsiders to cultivate. But I tried and managed to effortlessly steal the ancient books without anyone noticing. Of course, I returned them. Oh right, they also mentioned that the mind control GU, which is forbidden for cultivation in the GU clan, is missing. They're in hiding and can't leave the mountain, hoping that we at the Imperial Palace could disseminate information for everyone to be cautious. Mind control GU. Yes, the GU clan said that this type of GU worm is extremely terrifying. Once ingested, even if one later becomes a body integration divinity transformation, the master of the GU worm can still control their mind, and the person themselves may not even notice. Therefore, the GU clan has ancestral teachings to prohibit cultivating the mind control GU. See if this is the mind control GU. Zhang Li opened his palm to reveal a white worm. Yes, this is it, shaped like a cocoon, small as a hair, calm in water, lively in fire. Brother Zhang, where did you find this? In a clatter, the pure heart saintess dropped her pots and bowls, her legs giving way as she fell to the ground helplessly. How long have GU worms been added to the spirit rice? How many junior sister apprentices have eaten it? Have fasting senior brothers tried it occasionally? How many people in Red Dust Pure Land have mind control GU in their bodies? The pure heart saintess did not dare to think deeply about these questions. Crack, a distinct sound echoed within the pure heart saint's heart. Crack in the Tao heart. Did the GU clan mention how to break the mind control GU? Like other GU worms, either the master of the GU worm voluntarily opens it, or the worm inside the body is killed. Therefore, the mind control GU is ineffective against the transcendence tribulation stage, as the heavenly tribulation during transcendence will destroy the worm. I'll explain more later. Hang up. Zhang Li's expression was extremely serious, as he used the Buddhist lion's roar skill to shout at the pure heart saintess. You have always had a smooth journey without any setbacks. Just this circumstance has defeated you. Pure heart, stand up. The situation has not reached its final step. Your junior sister apprentices are still waiting for you to save them. Pure heart, have you forgotten your Tao heart vow? Can the Tao heart break this easily? With the aid of me, the current human emperor, there's a chance for everything. Pure heart, stand up. Is the Tao heart that you've cultivated over hundreds of years this fragile? Pure heart, stand up. The roar from Zhang Li was like a stabilizing rod, steadying the turbulent sea of consciousness in the pure heart saintess, allowing her fissured Tao heart to show signs of healing. Yes, the situation has not reached its final step. The mastermind has been secretly controlling for decades, and even now has not activated the mind control GU, indicating that the time is not yet ripe. There's still a chance for everything. Zhang Li, thank you. The pure heart saintess got up slowly with determined eyes and flew towards the Red Dust Pure Land. Zhang Li followed closely behind. However, seeing the sect protection array open around the Red Dust Pure Land and a figure laughing maliciously behind the light curtain almost caused another crack in the Tao heart of the pure heart saintess. The instigator, the elder who was expelled from Red Dust Pure Land, Zan I. Chapter 24. The changes in the Pure Land of Red Dust. Lately, Elder Zan I seems to be feeling anxious without reason, particularly when she hears of Zhang, the human emperor, visiting Red Dust Sanctuary. It amplifies her nervousness, fearing that the human emperor might discover what lies above. No, the disciples in the sect have minimal interaction with the emperor. Only the saintess and the sect leader will host him, and neither are infested by insects. If the emperor scans the disciples with his divine sense, how should they react? Absolutely not. Zhang, being upright, to scan disciples is akin to seeing them naked. This isn't his style. But what if the human emperor behaves unexpectedly? Who can guarantee he won't give in to sudden impulse? Hidden in a secret place in Red Dust Sanctuary, Elder Zan I shivers uncontrollably, her teeth chattering. Continuously comforting herself, but also stressing herself constantly. The fear is real. If the saintess and sect leader were to find out about her plan, she's confident that she can adapt or even flee. But facing the present human emperor, she would be too scared to even run. It's better to commit suicide directly. Reincarnating in the underworld would be better than becoming a lost soul at the hands of the human emperor. Why does such a terrifying person exist in this world? As a resident of the 9 provinces, who hasn't heard of Zhongli's legends? He's the ruthless man who slayed the nascent soul with a golden core, and killed the Transcendence Tribulation stage practitioner with body integration. Despite the powerful might of each human emperor, none were as outlandish as him. Moreover, he is now at the Mahayana realm that rivals an earth immortal. He could probably even kill a heavenly immortal. Such a person would be an overlord even in the immortal realm, let alone in the 9 provinces. Elder Zanai, who grew up in the dynasty, has witnessed numerous power struggles, and also experienced absolute martial power rendering all tactics illusory. Hence, she strongly believes in the supremacy and freedom of the strong. Later on, she joined one of the 6 major sects, the Red Dust Sanctuary. Through hard work, she became the body integration realm, a rarely seen elder in the sect. This rank is honored everywhere. But this wasn't enough. The elder does not have absolute control, she wants to be the sect leader. But no one chose her. Joking right, others weren't blind. Letting Elder Zanai become the sect leader, the first thing would be to recruit disciples to rule the world and indulge in extreme pleasure, which contradicts the principles of Red Dust Sanctuary. Red Dust Sanctuary, the name itself reveals the sect's purpose. A peaceful rest stop amidst red dust. Elder Zanai only had red dust in her heart, no sanctuary, and naturally was opposed by the sect's other elders. Seeing that she couldn't be the sect leader, Elder Zanai chose to dominate and manipulate within the disciples. Supporters thrive while opposers perish, enjoying the thrill of wielding power. Soon, she was reported by the disciples and Elder Qingyu summoned a meeting to expel this elder from the sect. After leaving the sect, Elder Zanai wandered around, and accidentally found the hidden place of the insect clan. For the insect clan that only reached the nascent soul stage, she, a body integration character, roamed freely, learning the insect techniques and taking any insect she wanted. In the end, she secretly mastered the art of insect techniques, and hatched her plan, making a return to Red Dust Sanctuary. She was supremely confident. The Red Dust Sanctuary hadn't seen the bloody violence of the world, they were a flock of lambs. With her tactics and insect techniques, taking control of the Red Dust Sanctuary shouldn't be a problem. If she wants to use bugs in spirit rice, she has to take action at the source. Placing the bugs within the Red Dust Sanctuary would undoubtedly be discovered by the elders. Her original plan was to kill a town's population and control them using corpse bugs, but unexpectedly, Yuan Ling had killed 2 small towns' population before she arrived and controlled their corpses with inferior corpse bugs. In her excitement, Elder Zanai killed Yuan Ling, controlled these corpses with her own corpse bugs, letting Yuan Ling and Duexener use bugs every harvest season while she hid in the sect's secret area, observing the latest developments and adjusting her plan at any time. She secretly used the bugs, successfully controlling several divinity transformation stage disciples. After using the bugs for 50 years, all disciples in the nascent soul stage were under her control, even several in the divinity transformation stage, and 2 of them even advanced to the body integration realm. She originally planned to wait another 50 years, waiting for more people under her control to reach the body integration realm before she made her move. But an unexpected change made her decide to act in advance. She heard that Master Hongchen had revived. Elder Zanai had only heard about the legend of Master Hongchen, and hasn't seen the portrait. She thought it was Red Dust Sanctuary tooting their own horns to raise their worth, but curiosity made her want to see if Master Hongchen truly made even gods bow before her as the legend said. Elder Qingyu couldn't meet Master Hongchen herself and was worried that no one would be at her side when the master woke up, so she sent a descendant of the master to guard. However, she didn't know that this descendant had already been infected with controlling bugs. Elder Zanai called this descendant over and ordered her to draw the immortal face of Master Hongchen. As she stared at the portrait, she was as if struck by lightning, even her breath quickening. Who would think this world would have someone so charming that transcends gender? Is this portrait truly something I, a mere mortal, worthy of seeing, submitting to the mighty and my goddess? Elder Zanai was lost in thought, thinking about odds and ends, but her thoughts eventually consolidated into one. Possess her, possess her, possess her. Elder Zanai instantly made the decision to seize power. She wants to stay by the master's side for eternity. Zanai, why are you here? Elder Qingyu was horrified to see Elder Zanai appear in front of her, especially seeing her lead a group of squawking disciples, even with 2 at the body integration realm. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. The other elders were equally shocked, failing to grasp what happened. Even though they were in the body integration realm, their minds were innocent and couldn't at all be compared to Elder Zanai's. Usurping power. Isn't that something found only in fiction? Could it really happen in the Red Dust Sanctuary? Aren't you going to call me sister anymore? I'm so hurt. Qing Yu, Elder Zanai giving a victorious smile to Qing Yu, in complete control of the situation. I regret my previous soft-heartedness, I should have killed you with a single strike. Elder Qing Yu was furious, but not afraid of Elder Zanai. She believed that she could best her in 30 moves or less. Elder Zanai's lifestyle didn't match the sex cultivation technique, making her the weakest among those at the same realm. The other elders believed they could handle her. 5 elders and 1 sect leader, total of 6 people at the body integration realm. On the other side with Qing Yu, there were only 3 at the body integration realm. The power gap was huge. Elder Qing Yu, such grandeur. In a fight, I would definitely admit defeat. However, these disciples are under my mind control bugs. Their lives hang by a thread, my thread. If you dare touch me, I will make one of them commit suicide. Elder Zanai casually mentioned this, stopping Elder Qing Yu who was about to make a move and the elders, who also hesitated to take action. Seeing them still hesitating, Elder Zanai continued. Don't believe it, let me show you. One disciple from the group at the back stepped forward, undid the passive form of the mind control bugs without hesitation, and instantly killed herself. Zanai. Elder Qing Yu was enraged to the extreme, her eyes full of anger, blood streaming from them. Her anger rose straight to the sky, thunder roared above her head as the heavenly might threatened her to step into the transcendence tribulation stage. She regretted her previous soft-heartedness, she regretted not noticing the mind control bugs, and she regretted not being as powerful as Zhongli. She was filled with regret. Chapter 25. Heart Sword. Master, save us. Thousands of disciples behind Nun Zan wept in unison, their sobs heart-wrenching and poignant. It was unclear if Nun Qingyu released control for a moment, or if she was controlling the disciples to cry out like that. What do you want? The position of sect master. Take it, I can give you anything, as long as you spare these disciples. Nun Qingyu gritted her teeth and spat out, backed into a corner, she had no choice but to kowtow to Nun Zan. Blood seeped from the corner of her mouth, a result of her pent-up anger. With a wave of her palm, Nun Zan sent Nun Qingyu flying, the position of sect master. I once desired it, but now, I just want to stay by master. Hongchen sighed. The human emperor, Zhang Li, may have noticed the abnormality. I want to control the sect protection array to block Zhang Li and young master Pure Heart. So, hand over the core of the array obediently. Human Emperor Zhang, young master Pure Heart. You are too late. Nun Zan stepped on Nun Qingyu with a mocking smile on her face. The sect protection array activated, enveloping the entire red dust pure land like a bubble. It appeared fragile but was incredibly solid. The red dust pure land, famed for its mystique and beauty, had existed for countless years, attracting many covetous gazes. It had faced numerous crises, but all were halted by the sect protection array, none had ever managed to break it. Nun Zan was not worried that Zhang Li could break the sect protection array. This was a formation that Master Hongchen brought from the immortal realm. Even a full-strength attack from an ordinary immortal wouldn't make it shake. She did not believe Zhang Li could break it. He was a mere corporal mortal at the Mahayana realm, not some supreme being from the immortal realm. There was no way he could break an immortal realm array. Although Saintess Pure Heart often overstepped her bounds, seeing her beloved master humiliated so mercilessly left her with red-rimmed eyes. She attacked the sect protection array. The peerless green lotus spun and bloomed in the void, causing ripples in space as it seemed unable to bear the weight of the green lotus. With a forward point from Saintess Pure Heart, the green lotus violently collided with the array, causing spatial fractures. Seeing that the sect protection array was unscathed, dozens more green lotus bloomed in the void and smashed into the array together. Blistering heat waves from the violent explosion leveled everything nearby, but the sect protection array remained unaffected. Zhang Li took a step forward, patting the panting Saintess Pure Heart. My turn. Just 2 simple words, yet they revealed Zhang Li's confidence. Nun Zan laughed as though she had just heard a funny joke. She laughed heartily. Human Emperor Zhang, I respect the contributions you have made for Jojo. I have no intention of humiliating you either. Just step back, otherwise, today your invincible legend will be broken. Zhang Li ignored her, instead he yelled to Nun Qingytl who was stepped on. Leader Qingyu, I saved your life today, so can we call it even? Even before Nun Qingyu agreed, Zhang Li swung a punch. The sect protection array, which had remained intact for thousands of years, shattered like glass. Nun Zan was dumbfounded, a wave of fear surged in her heart. Seeing Zhang Li stepping towards her with Saintess Pure Heart, she instinctively pointed at the 1,000 disciples and shouted hysterically. Don't move. These disciples have been implanted with my mind control bug. With just a thought, they will commit suicide. Do you think you can act faster than my thought? Zhongli did indeed stop, not advancing any further. He just quietly watched her and said calmly, I am indeed unsure if I could be faster than a thought. Nun Zan let out a sigh of relief. It seemed her life was temporarily safe, and she couldn't help but feel like mocking again. No matter how arrogant Nun Qingyu or how overbearing human Emperor Zhang were, weren't they all helpless and obedient because they cared about the lives of a bunch of golden core, nascent soul, and divinity transformation disciples? To Nun Zan, this was very amusing. Both Nun Qingyu and human Emperor Zhang were merely powerful in their cultivation. They couldn't abandon others, their mentality wasn't strong enough. They couldn't be considered true powerhouses. Only someone ruthless, self-centered, and highly cultivated like her was considered powerful. She believed that one day she would surpass Zhongli and reign supreme. I don't ask for much, just let me leave with Master Hongqian, and all of you must swear to the heavens. But why should I rush in the blink of an eye? Zhongli pulled out a sword from the storage ring. Zan, having sensed danger, hastily ordered some disciples to commit suicide, aiming to intimidate Zhongli. With a single swing of Zhongli's sword, even though no sword chi was released, the parasites within the disciples' bodies were slashed in half, and they died one after another. The disciples who were about to commit suicide instantly broke free from control and ceased their attempts to end their own lives. My swordsmanship is crude, and I only know this one move. Zhongli advanced toward Zan, who was so frightened that she fell on her bottom, powerless to stand, frantically pedaling her legs forward to retreat. This move is named Heart Sword. It rises from the mind, falls in the sea of consciousness, and forms a sword chi within the body during this rise and fall. Originally, this move was used to sever one's tendons and excise their flesh. Now it seems, it is quite fitting to use it to kill parasites and save people. Wait, I still have. Zan, noticing the raised sword in Zhongli's hand, glistening coldly under the moonlight, was so terrified that her soul almost left her body. She hastily tried to explain her value to Zhongli. However, Zhongli didn't even listen. He swung his sword down, and her head flew high into the air. Zan died with her eyes wide open. To kill you, I don't need any swordsmanship. With this unremarkable swing of the sword, which could barely even be said to have any technique, everything was settled. Zhongli originally intended for Pure Heart to handle this situation herself, but since it surpassed what she could handle alone, he had to step in. Thank you, human Emperor Zhang, for helping Red Dust pass through this calamity. As Pure Heart, I have nothing with which to repay you except myself. Quote. Seeing Pure Heart still capable of jesting, Zhongli assumed her Taoist heart must be unobstructed. He didn't accept her joke and instead walked over to Taoist Qing. Having been schemed against to the point where your entire sect almost became Union sect, you at Red Dust should learn your lesson. I will keep this matter a secret, it will not be spread. Taoist Qing genuinely knelt on the ground, paying respect to Zhongli. As Zhongli had said when rescuing her earlier, past grievances were now wiped away. She no longer viewed the human emperor as the enemy who killed her previous lover, but as the savior of Red Dust. Without Zhongli, Red Dust would have become a laughingstock, and she, Qing, would have been nailed to the pillar of shame in Red Dust. The actions of human Emperor Zhang tonight will forever be remembered by Red Dust. Brother Zhang, am I going to die? In Lower River Town, Du Exener's eyesight was fading, and she could no longer see the visitor distinctly. She sensed by feeling that Zhongli had come. Not only Zhongli had arrived, but also Pure Heart. She deliberately concealed her aura, as she dared not face this pure-hearted junior sister. With the death of Zan, the master of the parasites began to die one after another. By this point, corpses were strewn all over Upper and Lower River Town, and the atmosphere was suffused with death. As a former Golden Core cultivator, Du Exener could hold on a little longer, but not for much longer. Zhongli, speaking in a downtrodden tone, recounted everything to Du Exener. Pure Heart hid to one side, quietly wiping away her tears. Is that so? That's why I've been unable to cultivate. I'm already dead. Du Exener laughed, but even she didn't understand why she was laughing. Didn't Sister Pure Heart come? I'd like to see her. Upon hearing this, Pure Heart no longer hid her aura, rushing up and clutching Du Exener's cold little hand. Junior Sister Exener, your senior sister's here, your senior sister's here. But Du Exener was unmoved, her head softly slumping to the side. She was dead. Chapter 26. A gifted traveler emerged from the Tao sect. Now that the matters of the purified land of red dust were settled, and the red dust fairy was unknown when she would awaken, Zhongli no longer stayed in the purified land of red dust. He instructed them to keep the matters of the red dust fairy confidential, to never disclose the news, otherwise with the charm of the red dust fairy, who knows what trouble could be stirred up. He went to visit the Dao sect and requested a remote communication talisman from the sect master of Dao sect. Usually, you wince every time I ask you for a remote communication talisman, why are so forthcoming this time? Seeing the smiling face of the sect master of Dao sect, Zhongli always felt that he was up to no good. The sect master of Dao sect seemed to be of similar age to Zhongli, both appearing as youthful and vigorous young men. He stood with his hands behind his back and said with a smile, "A prodigy has emerged from the Dao sect. As the sect master, how could I not be pleased? For you to rate someone as a prodigy, they must be very promising juniors. I wonder which genius he is trying to compare himself to. If it's not too much trouble, you might as well bring him over to let me have a look." Zhongli was also interested. If he could witness the growth of a genius, he, being the protector of Jojo, would also feel a sense of achievement. The sect master of Dao sect continued to say with a smile, "It's not a problem, you are familiar with this person." "Oh, a junior that I'm familiar with." The sect master of Dao sect changed his smile and said seriously, "Zhongli, as the envoy of Dao sect, why don't you pay respects to your sect master when you see him?" Zhongli's smile froze. Later, according to a disciple's description, a strange moan was heard above the sect's premises, and a faint roar saying, "I can't coexist with GG," was heard. Soon, the sect master of Dao sect came forward to debunk the rumors, not just faintly, but someone did shout, "I can't coexist with GG." Soon, the current human emperor came out and announced, urging everyone not to spread or believe in rumors. Zhongli handed the remote communication talisman to the purified land of red dust, saying that if there was any movement from the red dust fairy, they should inform him. The purified land of red dust naturally agreed, as their ancestor, the red dust fairy, was an immortal of the upper realm, with profound cultivated abilities. If she caused some sort of trouble, they feared that only Zhongli could handle it. Zhongli returned to the Great Zhou once again, not to find trouble with Emperor Gigi of Zhou, but to complete the task given by the system. Fortunately, the task this time was simple. Huayan sect Yunbo was still alive. Due to having consumed the longevity pill, he could live for another 200 years and looked like a middle-aged man. The lifespan of cultivators is long, and their appearance does not change with age, but changes with their state of mind. For instance, Zhongli and the sect master of Dao sect both look like youngsters, indicating that their state of mind is young, full of vitality, with active thoughts and vigorous vitality. These are highly desirable mental states for cultivators, but only few can attain them. For instance, the female cultivators of the purified land of red dust, all look like women in their most beautiful age. For instance, Yuan Wuxing, his cultivation level is average, he suffered setbacks in the world, his actions changed from impulsive to calm, and thus he appears middle-aged. Another example is the deceased Zhang Yixing, who was desperate to stay alive, and therefore, looked extremely old. Zhongli, under the guise of visiting an old friend and giving cultivation guidance, completed his mission with Yunbo. Congratulations to the host for overcoming Yunbo with wisdom and sweat. Do you want to settle the reward? This mission reward: 1 chance for a direct awakening, 1 high-quality spiritual artifact of any style can be upgraded, 1 piece of a mysterious map fragment. Achievement: Qi cultivation defeats foundation establishment, because the host with the Qi cultivation stage overcame foundation establishment stage. Yunbo. Zhongli could not be bothered to retort at this irrelevant mission settlement message. If there was a fast-forward button, he would definitely choose to skip the mission settlement. Settle the reward. A pure force once again descended from the void and flowed into Zhongli's body. This time the force was extremely terrifying, enough to allow a cultivator of Qi cultivation stage to leap to the foundation establishment stage. A leaf fell and Zhongli blew a breath towards it, once more separating this force. Please choose the style of high-quality spiritual artifact. Swiss Army knife. No match for Swiss Army knife. Please reselect. AK-47. L. No match for AK plus 7 inches. Please reselect. Tiger tank. No match for Tiger tank. Please reselect. Kitchen knife. Opening square bracket dot. No match for matched high-quality spiritual artifact. Bloodbath bone chopping knife. The system automatically responded. No match for, but then found that it could match to a corresponding spiritual artifact halfway through the sentence. A knife shimmering with a slight cold light appeared in Zhongli's hand. Opening square bracket. Bloodbath bone chopping knife. High-quality spiritual artifact. After bathing in a large amount of fresh blood, it can extract vitality from the blood and can be upgraded to a mid-tier magic artifact. Recognition method of a spiritual artifact. Blood recognition. The rewards from the system this time are quite generous. For a cultivator who has just embarked on the path of cultivation, a high-quality spiritual artifact is a rare weapon that can be used up to the nascent soul stage. A mid-tier magic artifact is even more extraordinary, some divinity transformation cultivators are even using it. This is an invaluable weapon for Zhongli who has just received energy from the system and become a foundation establishment stage cultivator. Oh, I'm in the Mahayana realm, so never mind. Looking at the system displaying. Extract vitality from fresh blood, can be upgraded to a mid-tier magic artifact. Blood recognition, Zhongli was in deep thought. Are you sure it can be recognized by blood? Please don't doubt the professionalism of this system. Zhongli understood, bit his finger, a drop of blood dripped onto the surface of the kitchen knife. The kitchen knife kept trembling, emitting a visible light, and its aura continued to rise. High-quality spiritual artifact, top-quality spiritual artifact, lower-grade magic artifact, mid-grade magic artifact, top-grade explosion. With a rumble, the kitchen knife could not withstand the vitality contained in a drop of Zhongli's blood and exploded directly. Professionalism. I've been saying that it can't be recognized by blood, but you didn't believe me. I'm calling you a useless system, you have no objections, right? The system pretended not to hear Zhongli's complaints. Please receive the map fragment. A piece of a map emitting a golden light appeared in Zhongli's hand. As the golden light slowly faded, the fragment's appearance gradually revealed itself. Zhongli was annoyed waiting, he blew away the golden glitter, and directly saw a fragment of the map. The size of the fragment was about the size of a palm, made of sheepskin material, and displayed a map with very few markers. Qianyuan Secret Realm Map 1/3 complete follow-up tasks to get the remaining fragments. Zhongli scratched his chin, pulled out a jade piece from his storage ring, input spiritual power, and the entire map of Jojo appeared in front of him. Rivers, mountains, cities, complete in every detail. He scanned the map of Jojo with his divine sense, compared it with the Qianyuan Secret Realm map fragment, and quickly found the location of the Qianyuan Secret Realm, which was on a mountain in the Great Wei Empire. Congratulations to the host for accidentally finding the Qianyuan Secret Realm, the reward for the subsequent tasks has been changed. Whether it was an illusion or not, Zhongli heard a strong sense of frustration from the system's prompt. System prompt, the Qianyuan Secret Realm is too dangerous for the host, please explore after reaching nascent soul stage. Zhongli suddenly lost interest in this Qianyuan Secret Realm. Danger and gain are equal. A secret realm that can be explored at the nascent soul stage, does it contain treasures that would move one in the Transcendence Tribulation stage, or Mahayana stage? Chapter 27. Abandoning the task and new task. Once, the largely circulated map of the 9 states was quite rudimentary, and contained many errors. People often relied on it to traverse the 9 states, inadvertently walking into deadly zones, losing their paths, and barely escaping with their lives. Traveling monks in the 9 states often relied not on maps, but on their cultivation skills. 100 years after ascending to the throne as the human emperor, Zhongli decided to redraw the map of the 9 states. This should have been a good thing, but it was obstructed by the Sky Mechanism Tower. The reason was simple. The Sky Mechanism Tower held a detailed map of the 9 states, which they sold to monks in fragmented pieces at obscene prices. There were once great powers who tried to redraw the map of the 9 states, but they were all thwarted by the Sky Mechanism Tower. The Sky Mechanism Tower, while not one of the 6 major sects, holds many secrets. Many monks were very wary of them. If you offended the Sky Mechanism Tower, they could spread some of the secrets of your cultivation manner, thus allowing enemies to easily find your weaknesses and usher in your doom. However, Zhongli was not afraid of this. By that time, he had already reached the Mahayana realm, undefeated in 9 states. Who would dare to seek trouble with him? It would be an honor for them to not be sought out by him, too. Admire the virtue of the human emperor. The Sky Mechanism Tower had no means to threaten Zhongli, so they had no choice but to allow him to redraw the map of 9 states. Zhongli convened the 6 major sects, the 4 dragon kings of the seas, and other major sects and countries, to discuss the matter of the map, setting the accuracy standards. They were responsible for the maps in their respective regions. For the other blank regions, the imperial palace would fill in. Eventually, under Zhongli's direction, a map of the 9 states, several times more detailed than that of the Sky Mechanism Tower, was presented to everyone. Zhongli was not stingy either. he let the imperial palace engrave the map onto jade slips and sell them slightly above the cost price. From TNEN on, people no longer need a ECL to worry AD out maps. After the incident, Dao sect said to Zhongli that his act was a great merit, and he should receive a merit baptism. However, Zhongli did not receive any merit, which was quite strange. Moreover, every past human emperor who protected the 9 states should also have great merit, yet there was no trace of merit to be seen. The Dao sect speculated that the merit was from the immortal realm. After the ladder to immortality disappeared, the 9 states lost contact with the immortal realm, causing the merit not to descend to the lower realm. If Zhongli ascends to the immortal realm in the future, he may receive a massive baptism of merit. New mission release. The once every 5-year martial arts competition in Tianqing Prefecture is about to begin. You will be representing the Huayuan sect in this competition. You are placed in the Foundation Establishment early stage group. Because Huayuan sect always ranks near the bottom, it is ridiculed by other sects. Please win first place in the early stage area of Foundation Establishment in this competition. This mission can be cancelled. Mission reward. An opportunity to complete any incomplete book, 1 Dragon Tiger Golden Core Pill, 1 Death Escape Talisman. Zhongli found that the rewards for this mission were quite generous. The opportunity to complete any incomplete book was particularly obvious, yet the Dragon Tiger Golden Core Pill alone could increase any monk's core formation success rate to 80%, it was absolutely terrifying. There was also the Death Escape Talisman. Who could guarantee that they wouldn't be ambushed while adventuring? With the Death Escape Talisman, it was equivalent to having an extra life. The visible value of this is that it could be auctioned at an astronomical price that could make a nascent soul cultivator spend half of their fortune. However, this Death Escape Talisman could only be used by cultivators at the Golden Core stage or lower. The rewards were very generous, so Zhongli chose to give up this task. Give up this task, he said. Do you want to give up this task? Yes. To prevent misunderstanding, the system will ask again. Do you want to give up this task? Yes. Do you wish to? Yes. Zhongli felt that this counterattack system was very much like annoying software from his previous life. The task has been successfully abandoned. The system said nothing more after that. Zhongli blinked, waiting for a long time for a new task, but none came. System, where's the new task? He asked. Please wait patiently, host. The system responded. Zhongli was speechless, so giving up on a task didn't mean he could move on to the next one immediately. Hello, 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 is Zhongli there? I was so happy just now, I forgot to tell you something. The remote communication talisman rang. Before Zhongli could answer, the other party had already projected an image. The projection of the sect master of Dao sect appeared in front of Zhongli. Zhongli thought that this bastard was taking advantage of being the maker of the remote communication talisman to control his talisman. What is it? Zhongli asked politely. How can you, a member of the Dao sect, address the sect master in such a way? The sect master of Dao sect pretended to be angry. Seeing Zhongli's rage brewing, he quickly shifted the topic. The Yin-Yang Heaven Seal is going to be refined once more. According to my observation, there is less than a year's time left. At that moment, our Dao sect will hold an Immortal Artifact Appreciation Conference. Please, Brother Zhongli, give us some face as the current human emperor and grace the occasion. He implored. As this was actual business, Zhongli's attitude improved a bit and agreed. Then, it's settled. When the time comes, I will send you an invitation so you can sit in a special seat. The sect master of Dao sect quickly shut down the remote communication talisman. The Yin-Yang Heaven Seal was going to be further refined. This was indeed an important matter and a big one at that. The Dao sect would be busy preparing for it for a year. Zhongli was likely the first to know about this. Some people claimed that the Yin-Yang Heaven Seal of Dao sect was the #1 treasure of 9 states. There was not a shred of exaggeration in this claim. At least Zhongli believed that the Yin-Yang Heaven Seal deserved this title. The founding master of Dao sect was known as Daozu, Dao Ancestor, an incredibly terrifying title that shared the same name as a title used in the immortal realm. This should have attracted divine retribution, but Daozu himself was unscathed. Therefore, some people speculated that the founding master of Dao sect was the true reincarnation of Daozu, or maybe the embodiment of a catastrophe, or a 3-corpse body. Anyway, he was closely related to the real Daozu. The Yin-Yang Heaven Seal was created by Daozu of Dao sect, and as soon as it was created, it was considered an immortal artifact with unlimited power. After Daozu of Dao sect ascended, he left the Yin-Yang Heaven Seal in the 9 states as the treasure of the sect, suppressing the sect's destiny. The magic of the yin-yang heaven seal is that it can refine itself. Every refinement enhances its power by one level. The last time it refined itself was 3,000 years ago. The important figures in 9 states all attended that grand event. It was quite lively. After 3,000 years, how could Zhongli miss the opportunity to witness the immortal artifact self-refinement? Zhongli did not leave Dazhou but secluded himself for cultivation on the spot to consolidate the gains he made during his last heavenly tribulation. 2 months later, Zhongli broke away from his meditation and the system finally stirred once more. New mission release. The mysterious secret realm is about to open and only those under 25 bone age and at the foundation establishment stage are allowed to enter. The Hua Yun sect has one quota, which you obtained after defeating Yun Bo. However, people from other sects look down on you since you are only at the mid-stage of foundation establishment and you are ridiculed. Please become the champion in this mysterious secret realm. This mission can be cancelled. Mission reward. Unlock the spatial teleportation feature, unlock the source reading function in a 500 cubic meter storage ring. According to Zhongli's estimate, given 2 months' time, if it was himself, it would be just enough time to cultivate from the early stage of foundation establishment to the mid-stage of foundation establishment. When he saw the rewards for this mission, he smiled slightly. With the unlock of spatial teleportation ability alone, he couldn't give up this task. Chapter 28. Human Emperor Zhong at the Sky Mechanism Tower. But where is this mysterious secret realm located? There are countless secret realms in the world, each with its curious rules. It's impossible for Zhongli to know every one of them. But that's okay, if he doesn't know, there are always professionals who do. All members of the Sky Mechanism Tower cultivate a cultivation technique called Mastering the Heavenly Machine, that leads directly to Ascension. When mastered, this technique can sense one's fortune and avoid disasters. Unfortunately, this cultivation technique is not for sale at the Sky Mechanism Tower, otherwise, many cultivators would want to learn it. The head of the Sky Mechanism Tower is the highest ranked practitioner, followed by the heads of the Sky Mechanism Towers located in the various dynasties. Although they are not as powerful as the head, they have reached the level of sensing fortune and misfortune. Zhou Yufu, the person in charge of the Sky Mechanism Tower in the Great Zhou dynasty, was lying on the roof, bathing in a pool formed by condensed spiritual energy, enjoying a moment of tranquility. If the Sky Mechanism Tower had a favorite dynasty, it would be the Great Zhou. The people here abide by rules, follow the regulations of the Sky Mechanism Tower, and do not risk kidnapping members of the Sky Mechanism Tower for cultivation techniques. They also would not be so foolish as to steal from the Sky Mechanism Tower. Please, we at Sky Mechanism Tower strive to provide quality information. When we say it's an abridged version, it's your problem if you think your high level of cultivation will be no issue. This type of client is the most headache-inducing for the Sky Mechanism Tower. Another type is clients who have no money and insist on bargaining, saying that they already know some of the information and that it's not worth so many spirit stones. The Sky Mechanism Tower never gives discounts on its information, much less gives it away for free. The once-in-a-decade evaluation had just passed, and the Sky Mechanism Tower in the Great Zhou dynasty was rated first in both performance and customer satisfaction, making other branches envious. Great Zhou, good. Zhou Yufu felt that he deserved his surname Zhou, which resonates with Great Zhou. He contentedly soaked his fat body in the spiritual water, releasing large bubbles. But how strange, he used to always feel lucky, so why is his fortune now uncertain, and the future chaotic? The attendant not far away heard a message from below, ran to the pool flusteredly, and said in horror, "Master, it's terrible, Human Emperor Zhong is here." Zhou Yufu was so frightened that he forgot to breathe and swallowed a mouthful of bath water. We at the Sky Mechanism Tower don't break the law or practice the demonic path. We price goods fairly. Why has he come? Most people who come to the Sky Mechanism Tower keep their faces hidden to conceal their identities. For those who don't have money, they simply cover their faces with a piece of black cloth. For those who are wealthy, they use a piece of black cloth that masks the fluctuations of spiritual power. As for those who show their faces when buying information, they don't mind that either. That's the customer's own business. But today, they had to care, even the branch master had to come out to greet them. Because Human Emperor Zhong had arrived. Welcome, Human Emperor Zhong, to our inspection. Zhou Yufu and the senior members of the Sky Mechanism Tower welcomed Zhong Li. The crowd of masked people narrowed their pupils, revealing fanaticism, and no longer cared about hiding their identities. They all came to see Zhong Li. This is the living Human Emperor Zhong, whom many will never see once in their lifetime. Fortunately, the disciples of the Sky Mechanism Tower maintained order and prevented people from surrounding Zhongli. Seeing Zhou Yufu like this, Zhongli thought to himself, isn't he just here to buy information about the mysterious secret realm? Why are they treating it like he's here to inspect their work? Zhongli didn't know that for the people of the Sky Mechanism Tower, it was as though he was here to inspect their work. 200 years ago, Zhongli presided over the mapping of the 9 provinces map. The Sky Mechanism Tower considered this as his dissatisfaction with their behavior and used the map to penalize them. If the Sky Mechanism Tower harbored resentment against Zhongli 200 years ago, then after these 200 years, having witnessed Zhongli kill countless formidable and seemingly hopeless heavenly demons with ease, the Sky Mechanism Tower truly dared not bear any resentment against him. So if Zhongli visits the Sky Mechanism Tower again, they must serve him well, making sure he couldn't find any faults with them. No, our motto is to treat every customer as an immortal. Emperor Zhong, this is our grand reception hall. We have each customer go to a separate room, where they are attended to in person. This ensures confidentiality and customer satisfaction. Zhou Yufu explained the Sky Mechanism Tower's mode of operation smoothly to Zhongli. Our staff will have a crystal ball that connects to headquarters, which could access all the information held by the Sky Mechanism Tower. And our prices are determined by a set of strict standards. We definitely don't inflate prices. Zhou Yufu showed a thick book, which was probably the price standard he mentioned. If the information involves something the Sky Mechanism Tower does not have, we will collect it based on the customer's requirements. However, some information involves privacy, and we definitely won't sell it. Zhou Yufu stated firmly, his face full of righteousness. Whether he was telling the truth was not known. But Zhongli noticed that he said, we will definitely not sell, we will definitely not collect. Quote, you won't collect, good job. Zhongli nodded pretentiously, patting Zhou Yufu's shoulder. Zhou Yufu, of course, knew what Zhongli meant by the insinuations. This was a reminder to them. Yes, we will definitely not collect. He quickly made a stand, leaving the decision on whether to do so to the master. Is Emperor Zhong satisfied with our work? No other issues really, I just came to learn about the mysterious secret realm. Zhou Yufu thought Zhongli was randomly asking a question to test the Sky Mechanism Tower's ability to handle information. He quickly got out the crystal ball and operated it himself. Soon, all the information about the mysterious secret realm was organized and stored in a jade plate, which he respectfully handed to Zhongli for inspection. Zhongli glanced over it and thought, good lord, they even wrote down the birth chart of the person who created the mysterious secret realm. And they say they don't sell private information. But he wasn't in charge of the Sky Mechanism Tower. The power of the human emperor didn't stretch that far. His previous statement was just a suggestion. If he were to bring it up again now, it would be overstepping his bounds. How many spirit stones? The emperor is joking. These things are not worth a few spirit stones. Consider them a gift from the Sky Mechanism Tower to the imperial palace. After some back and forth, Zhongli finally stuffed a proper amount of spirit stones into Zhou Yufu's arms. Zhou Yufu held onto the spirit stones as if he was holding a hot potato. He didn't know whether to accept it or refuse. After Zhongli achieved his goal, he turned into a stream of light and left. Zhou Yufu called over a disciple of the Sky Mechanism Tower. I remember you excel in painting, right? Yes, master. Then you paint the scene of me standing with the human Emperor Zhong just now, frame it, and hang it on the wall. Remember, use the best materials. If you do it well, I will promote you to core disciple. Yes, the disciple was extremely excited and clenched his fist. A few days later, a painting of Human Emperor Zhong at Sky Mechanism Tower was hung in the hall of the Sky Mechanism Tower. Countless people stopped to admire it. In the painting, Zhongli was patting Zhou Yufu's shoulder as if bestowing a great duty upon him. Zhou Yufu had an air of righteousness about him as if he could shoulder the responsibility. Chapter 29. Difficult to deal with. After consulting the information provided by the Sky Mechanism Tower, Zhongli had a comprehensive understanding of the mysterious secret realm. Initially, he just wanted to know the location of the mysterious secret realm. The founder of the mysterious secret realm, known as the Dream Hermit, was a cultivator at the body integration realm who exhausted his strength and died during the Transcendence Tribulation 800 years ago. Perhaps he sensed that he would not pass the trial, so he left behind the mysterious secret realm before crossing the tribulation, leaving something behind for future generations and providing some opportunities for Foundation establishment stage youths, thereby creating good karma. The mysterious secret realm opens once every 10 years, and the challenges it presents each time are different. Sometimes it tests comprehension, sometimes combat power, sometimes resistance to money and beauty. Even the sky mechanism tower cannot find a pattern. What is certain is that the mysterious secret realm has 2 levels, and the rewards one ultimately receives vary depending on performance. For example, the challenge of the mysterious secret realm 500 years ago was related to combat power. Each person had a token that could be snatched away by others. The person with the most tokens would be ranked first. Zhou Dynasty. Each time it opens, it attracts nearby sects. These sects, regardless of whether they have divinity transformation stage cultivators, would not refuse a secret realm left behind by a power almost at the transcendence tribulation stage. Zhang Li, having disguised his appearance, arrived near the mysterious secret realm. At this point, many sects had already brought their core disciples here, waiting for the secret realm to open. Although Zhang Li's cultivation exceeded the foundation establishment stage and did not meet the standards for entry into the secret realm, his cultivation was also superior to that of the Dream Hermit. The opening of the mysterious secret realm was a minor event for the southern part of the Great Zhou. At that time, all known sects from the southern part of the Great Zhou would come to participate, showing off their outstanding disciples. Zhang Li looked around but was unable to recognize any sects. The actual situation was similar to what the system had said. Most of those present were in the late foundation establishment stage, with only a few in the middle foundation establishment stage. Naturally, the sects at the later stage would give advice to those at the middle stage. Without making a fuss, Zhang Li disguised himself as a late-stage foundation establishment cultivator and blended in unnoticed among the crowd. He could also straightforwardly admit his identity. "Stop pretending, I'm the human emperor. Give me some respect and let me enter the secret realm to take first place." Zhang Li might not value faith, but he cared about his reputation. A dignified Mahayana realm cultivator intruding into a secret realm intended for body integration realm cultivators, competing with a group of foundation establishment stage juniors for opportunities, it would be a joke among his friends if word got out. "Hey, brother, so your sect didn't send anyone either?" A friendly fellow approached Zhang Li. "Would you look at that, neither did mine." Most people had their elders present to watch over them, to prevent the juniors from being bullied. However, there were always exceptions, such as the man beside Zhang Li. He introduced himself as Qin Luan, first brother and retired disciple of the wind stabilizing view. His master had been wandering for over a decade and had not returned. As his disciple, he was pleasantly unoccupied, practicing cultivation happily on his own. "Can't be helped, I'm the oldest in my sect, so there's no one to accompany me." Zhang Li's words were not false. His sect, the Imperial Palace, was run by him, the hall master of the Imperial Palace. Naturally, he was the highest in seniority. But from Qin Luan's perspective, Zhang Li was implying that all the elders in his sect had died, leaving him alone. He thought his wind stabilizing view, with only 2 members, was the most miserable sect. He never expected that there could be a sect more miserable than his own, which subsequently aroused his sympathy. "Don't worry, brother Kong Li. Considering we share the same plight, I'll cover for you in the mysterious secret realm," Qin Luan assured himself, patting his chest. Zhang Li didn't use the alias Zhang Li. Instead, he modified his surname to Kong Li. Every time he heard Zhang Lit, he would remember the face of the smug sect master of Dao sect, which annoyed him to no end. Hopefully, there won't be any underhanded people this time. Qin Luan was a chatterbox. Seeing Zhang Li not talking much, he continued to talk enthusiastically. "You know, brother Kong, the last time, there was a guy who intentionally suppressed his strength. It was only after entering the secret realm that he broke through to golden core and came out on top. Such people are so shameless. If I ever meet one, I'll make sure to give him a couple of swift kicks while he's breaking through, teaching him not to cheat." Zhang Li felt that Qin Luan might not be looking for a companion, just a listener. Suddenly, it went dark above their heads. An enormous eagle landed nearby, its piercing eyes seemingly imbued with sword chi. A hawk with a trace of golden eagle lineage. Who could it be? Qin Luan cried out, diligently playing his part as a commentator. 2 individuals descended from the hawk, both were carrying long swords, donned in spotlessly clean white robes and staring straight ahead, completely ignoring the hullabaloo of the crowd. "It's people from the Forgetful Sentiment sect. Members of this sect place no value on emotions, trusting no one but their own swords." Qin Luan accurately identified these 2, that's Taoist of the 7 murders and his elder. A hint of solemnity crossed Qin Luan's face, a difficult opponent to deal with. I've fought him before and only won 8 out of 10 matches. Zhang Li was slightly surprised. Using 7 murders as a title, does he have anything to do with the 7 murders steal in the immortal realm? He was supposed to have heard of such a person, so why hadn't he heard anything previously? No, he just thinks the title, 7 murders, is pretty cool. Where did these flower petals come from? Qin Luan looked up to see 2 women in pink skirts gently descending, with pink petals dissipating around them. The younger one was lively and cute, while the elder one was cold, keeping admirers at a distance. It's people from the Falling Cherry Blossom sect. Someone called out before Qin Luan could. It's Song Ying and her master. There was a hint of seriousness once again on Qin Luan's face. A difficult opponent to deal with. I've fought her before and only won 6 out of 10 matches. As soon as Song Ying landed, she looked around eagerly. Spotting Qin Luan, she hopped up to greet him enthusiastically. Hee, Qin Luan, we meet again. I won't lose to you this time. After saying this, she shook her small, pink fist. However, Qin Luan ignored her and instead warned Zhang Li. Qin Luan grew even more serious. Be wary of Song Ying. She knows she can't beat me, so she wants to unsettle my Dao heart with her beauty. She's quite calculating. Zhang Li thought, even a blind person like me can see that she likes you. Can't you see that her master can hardly wait to draw his sword and slash you, this fool? Is it possible that she genuinely likes you? Zhang Li couldn't help but ask. Absolutely not, Qin Luan said unequivocally. One time I asked her, do you like me? And she said, who would like an idiot like you? Zhang Li nodded slightly. It seemed that Song Ying indeed did not like Qin Luan. You have to be careful of these two, they will be your biggest competitors. This time, Zhang Li didn't nod. In his view, the biggest competitor this time was someone else. He set his eyes on an insignificant disciple. A late-stage foundation establishment body, but a divinity transformation. Soul within. Possession. Chapter 30. The Weakened Secret World. Look, there's Qin Luan from the wind-stabilizing view. People's eyes were focused on the puffed-up Song Ying, and finally someone noticed Qin Luan. Judging by her tone, Qin Luan seemed to be someone with quite a reputation. As for Zhang Li, he appeared ordinary and not that noteworthy, so people dismissed him. I heard that this guy was picked up by the master of wind stabilizing view. When he was tested for his talent at the age of 8, he turned out to possess a rare single-element thunder spiritual root. Many major sects tried to extend an olive branch to him, but all were turned down. Everyone thought that although his talent was commendable, without the support of a major sect, he would only waste it. But who would have expected that relying on his comprehension and good fortune, he has surpassed the disciples of the major sects. Spiritual roots also vary in quality. The best ones are the dual heaven and earth spiritual roots, followed by single spiritual roots, and the worst are the 5 elements spiritual roots. Among the single spiritual roots, the 5 elements of gold, wood, water, fire, and earth are the most common, while wind, thunder, and other variant spiritual roots are rare. Variant single spiritual roots are slightly superior to regular spiritual roots, although not as good as the heaven-earth spiritual roots, they are considered the epitome for single spiritual roots. Why pretend you don't see me? Song Ying arrogantly puffed up, her eyes glaring at Qin Luan. If I hadn't noticed you, how could I have introduced you to Brother Kong? Qin Luan replied, sounding quite justified. I just don't want to deal with you. Noticing the brewing quarrel between the two, Zhang Li asked. Brother Qin, do you know who that person over there is? Qin Luan thought for a while but couldn't recall. Song Ying, seeing that Zhang Li was on good terms with Qin Luan and concluding that they might be friends, answered on Qin Luan's behalf. That person is Li Lidong, the true disciple of the Stone Dragon Gate. I heard he used to be mediocre in terms of talent and comprehension. However, ever since he fell off a cliff, he had a breakthrough, and his cultivation has notably advanced. In just half a year, he advanced from the early stage to the later stage of the foundation establishment stage. I had a match with him. Although I easily won, I feel that he was holding back and hadn't shown his real level. Zhang Li nodded, then gestured for the two to continue their argument. Amid the quarrel between the two, the mysterious secret realm finally opened. The number of people allowed in the mysterious secret realm is fixed, with only 800 spots. When all 800 disciples from the various sects entered the mysterious secret realm, Zhang Li, being the 801st, casually entered the entrance of the secret realm. Everybody thought this might be a loose cultivator trying to fish in troubled waters. But to their surprise, this person actually entered the mysterious secret realm and was not expelled by the realm. Could they have miscounted? Just as Zhongli entered the secret realm, he felt a pushing force. The force was like a 3-year-old child trying to push away a large elephant. Even with all its might, it just wouldn't budge. Soon, the secret realm seemed to realize it couldn't get rid of this unwelcome guest, so it gave up this fruitless effort and focused all its power on examining him. In front of Zhongli's eyes, a stream was forming, composed out of spiritual energy coalescing into spiritual water. Drinking a single mouthful is comparable to 3 months of cultivation for a foundation establishment cultivator. Not far away, a wooden chin was playing naturally, and fairy cranes were dancing along with the sound of the chin. In the distance, fairy mountains were floating, and the idyllic landscape made people reluctant to leave. Zhongli was captivated by the scenic beauty and compulsively walked over to the wooden chin, cut it down, and watched the fairy cranes. The fairy crane sensed danger and tried to fly away but was forcefully held by Zhongli. Soon, smoke arose by the riverside, and the scent of roasted meat spread far and wide. From not far away, a weak cry for help can be heard. From the sound alone you could imagine the owner of the voice was a beautiful and delicate woman. Zhongli turned a deaf ear to this and continued roasting his meat attentively. The voice got closer and closer until it reached Zhongli. "Sir, please save me." The extremely beautiful girl's clothes were torn, her body barely covered. She most likely got her clothes torn when running from danger, exposing much of herself. She looked pitiful, enough to awake a man's protective instinct. Zhongli was a serious man, therefore, he continued roasting his meat. The girl was momentarily shocked by Zhongli's demeanor, seemingly having never encountered such a situation before. But remembering she was being pursued, she quickly turned to Zhongli for help. "Sir, please save me. There's a brute trying to assault me. If you can save Chun'er, I'm willing to dedicate myself to you. And all my family's fortune will be yours." The girl named Chun'er deeply bowed, revealing more than an average girl of her age would. What cultivator could withstand such a test? Zhongli could. At a glance, he could see that the girl was only about 18, her strength was probably only at the Qi cultivation 1st or 2nd level. That would make her talent a first-rate crippled one in the 9 continents. Judging by the fact that such a girl could escape, the one pursuing her would not be too powerful. Sure enough, before Chun'er had the chance to speak again, the pursuers arrived from the bottom of the mountain. With cruel smiles on their faces, they surrounded Chun'er and Zhongli. The strength of those people was slightly stronger than Chun'er's, probably at about the half level of the Qi cultivation 2nd stage. Usually, during the Qi cultivation stage, only full levels from 1 to 9 are considered. There is no such thing as a half level. But Zhongli decided to grant these people an additional half level out of pity. Qi cultivation 2nd and a half level, the compassion of the human emperor. "You little girl, run. Let's see how far you can run." The man with lewd smile on his face was the leader. It was clear what he was thinking. "Today you will die with your boyfriend." He isn't my boyfriend." Chun'er suddenly blushed. The group didn't care about Chun'er's reaction. At the leader's command, they were all thrown down the mountain by Zhongli before they could join forces to attack. "Benefactor, thank you for saving my life. I have nothing to repay you, but I'm willing to give myself to you." Chun'er looked endearing, her eyes filled with affection. Of course, Zhongli would not refuse Chun'er's good intentions. He gently said, "Maybe in the next life." "Chun'er, my benefactor, you certainly have a sense of humor. Please allow me to invite you to my village to show my gratitude for your life-saving grace." The spiritual energy density within the secret realm was several times higher than in the 9 continents. On the way to the village, Zhongli saw that the wild fruits beside the road could be considered heavenly treasures. They would be very beneficial even for golden core or even the nascent soul stage cultivators. If a foundation establishment cultivator came here, they would probably want to live in this secret realm directly. It's amazing that Chun'er managed to maintain her level at the Qi cultivation level half stage despite the abundance of such heavenly treasures. Chun'er's village was appealing. According to Chun'er, all the men of the village had been conscripted by the nation to go to the battlefield, and after 10 years, not one had returned. Therefore, only a group of widowed beauties and young girls were left in the village. These beautiful women and girls were attractive, and Zhongli felt as if he had come to an unworldly realm upon his arrival. Chun'er further mentioned that currently, the country was torn by war, men were rare, leaving behind many widows and young girls. Their looks were not inferior to those in this village. Zhongli, with his impressive cultivation, could unify the world and reign supreme if he were to plunge into the battlefield. During the conversation with Chun'er, Zhongli understood that people in the secret realm could not cultivate to be immortals, they could only train their muscles and enhance their martial arts. The heavenly treasures were useless to them. Chun'er was considered talented among them. She was a postnatal master at a young age, above postnatal was the prenatal master, and above that was the scarcely seen Grand Master. The realm of Grand Master, only appearing in legends. And according to Chun'er's description, the realm of Grand Master equates to the Qi cultivation 7th to 9th level. Upon hearing this, Zhongli took a sharp intake of breath, causing the temperature in the entire secret realm to plummet several degrees. What a weak secret realm world. Chapter 31. Beauty, Treasure, Power. Qi cultivation at the 8th or 9th level is considered to be legendary, and foundation establishment stage practitioners are treated as immortals descending to the mortal realm. For the foundation establishment stage practitioners trapped in the lower planes of the 9 continents, this secret realm is as wonderful as a dream. With countless beauties throwing themselves at them, so-called Grand Master realm opponents are unable to withstand a single blow. There are massive amounts of heavenly treasures and natural resources to help them ascend to the nascent soul stage, and they are able to establish countries and enjoy royal majesty. To put it accurately, it's beyond even their wildest dreams. These things didn't have much attraction for Zhongli, but he roughly guessed what the secret realm wanted to test. Out of respect for his seniors, he still acted according to the desires of the secret realm. Surrounded by the twittering of beautiful women, Zhongli decided to dominate the world. Zhongli restricted his power to the late foundation establishment stage, defeated 18 feudal lords in 3 days, established the country and selected officials in 5 days, and the people named this event the 5-3 founding day. Other countries, hearing that Zhongli was an immortal being, flocked to pay tribute and submit to his will. All the nations paid tribute to the Lord of all under heaven. No one in the course of history could surpass Zhongli at this moment. 7 days after arriving in the secret realm, the vigorous new country was rising. Zhongli sat inside the immense palace with a blank expression on his face. Chun'er had stayed beside Zhongli during his battles and was now the queen. She was currently at Zhongli's side. Many ministers collected beautiful women for Zhongli to fill his harem. These women admired Zhongli and served him willingly without being forced. There were also diviners who believed Zhongli to be from the immortal realm and therefore collected all sorts of heavenly treasures and spiritual stones and wines for him. These treasures filled the national treasury to the point that even those at the divinity transformation stage would feel envious. "This is not a place for lawn staffs, I must leave," Zhongli said in a calm tone. Speaking perhaps to himself, or perhaps to Chun'er. Upon hearing this, Chun'er sniffled, with tears falling, soaking her valuable clothes in no time. "I know that benefactor is not from this realm, but is there nothing here to hold your remembrance?" Zhongli answered honestly, "No, with 3,000 beauties in the harem to choose from, isn't benefactor moved? I have seen more beautiful ones." "I don't believe it." Chun'er shook her head resolutely. She was confident in her appearance. On becoming the queen, it wasn't just because she spent the longest time with Zhongli, for 7 solid days, but also because her beauty outshone all others. "I have seen the red dust fairy." Chun'er immediately fell silent, but it wasn't clear where she had heard of this title. She didn't give up and continued. "Can't the heavenly treasures in the national treasury attract benefactor? I've read the introduction. There is a divine vertical light fruit in the treasury that if one consumed, it's as good as cultivation for 30 years of an immortal. There is also the Bai-Bo Division C technique. If practiced to its completion, one can split rivers and seas with a single sword. And also..." Zhongli didn't reply, but silently took out a 9 transformation creation pill. This pill could make anyone ascend instantly if the path to immortality had not been severed. Its value was immeasurable. Apparently aware of its value, Chun'er fell silent. In fact, she wanted to say, "Give me the immortal pill, can I go back to the 9 continents with you?" Chun'er still hasn't given up, continuing to ask. "In a few days, benefactor will be able to unify the world, becoming the true ruler. This is a grand accomplishment that emperors throughout history have envied to the point of madness. Does benefactor not treasure it?" Zhongli sighed. "As the current human emperor, I am revered throughout the 9 continents. Isn't that better than being a lord in the secret realm?" Chun'er was stunned for a moment, unable to react. Zhongli continued, "Actually, all the reasons above are just pretexts. The real reason is, why should I stay in an illusion? Isn't that right, dream pure?" Upon hearing this, Chun'er no longer disguised herself and switched back to her previous attire. It was dignified and grand, yet distinct from her current outfit, carrying a slight historical feeling. "I thought my illusion technique was exquisite and could deceive fellow Taoist, but it seems I overestimated myself. The information from the Sky Mechanism Tower once mentioned that a female cultivator named Dream Pure was the most beautiful woman in the world 800 years ago. As for the illusion, Zhongli had realized that he was inside an illusion from the moment he stepped into the secret realm. Everything was an illusion. Dream Pure, a female cultivator who excelled in the way of illusions. It was said that once the way of illusion was cultivated to its limit, the illusion could be turned into reality, and a simple thought could make something real or fake, which was extremely terrifying. Crack. The illusion shattered like a mirror, scattering in pieces. The numerous fragments fell like drops of water melting into the earth, disappearing without a trace. With the complete disappearance of the illusion, the true appearance of the secret realm was revealed, a primal jungle. Using his divine sense, Zhongli detected that the space was vast, roughly equivalent to a quarter of Tianqing Prefecture. Zhongli was standing in a clearing. At the same time, 800 disciples from various sects were lying on the ground. Their expressions varied, some were conflicted, some were joyful, others had murderous expressions, and it was unknown what choices they had made in the illusion. Dream Pure stood before Zhongli, speaking with slight regret. I was unaware of the current human emperor's presence here, it was my oversight. The information from the Sky Mechanism Tower was correct. Dream Pure had indeed perished in the heavenly tribulation. What was appearing now in front of Zhongli was just a backup she had left before facing the tribulation, a residual thought. No, I just carelessly broke into the secret realm and caused trouble for Senior Dream. Seeing Dream Pure hesitating, Zhongli smiled and said, Senior Dream, if you have anything to say, just say it. Dream Pure said, I have also met the human emperor of my time. He could be considered a heroic figure, but he was not comparable to you, just like an immortal. Can it be that the 9 continents have found the path to immortality? Not really, it's just that I was lucky to break through to the Mahayana stage. Dream Pure's pupils slightly shrank. Apparently the news that Zhongli broke through to the Mahayana stage was even more astonishing than the emergence of the path to immortality. I always thought the Mahayana stage was merely a legend, but it turns out that someone can indeed break through to the Mahayana stage. Just a fluke, Zhongli avoided saying more about it, as Senior Dream trying to test the little guy's resistance towards beauty, treasures, and power with this illusion. Yes, as long as they can resist any one of these, they pass and can enter the next layer. It wasn't too hard to guess. First, there were the willing beauties, then heavenly treasures as plentiful as though they were being given away for free, and finally even foundation establishment stage practitioners could dominate the world. Upon reflection, one would realize that there were many illogical things within the illusion. For instance, where did the people who entered the secret realm with him go? There were too many beautiful women. The other countries submitted too quickly and so on. The miracle of the art of illusion was such that it made cultivators automatically ignore these illogical things. The more one was entrapped in the illusion, the deeper one would fall until they could no longer free themselves. Qin Luan, lying on the ground, made an unclear sound. It was a sign that he was about to break out of the illusion. Time inside the illusion was different from reality. In exchange, Qin Luan had already been in the illusion for a month. Being able to break the illusion in a month was considered strong determination in Dream Pure's eyes. Seeing someone about to awaken, Dream Pure smiled faintly. Fellow Taoist, let's chat more after this secret realm trial is over. She revealed a mysterious smile, disappearing after leaving one sentence behind. The next test might be more suitable for fellow Taoists. Although she did not know Zhongli's purpose, his cultivation level could manipulate her secret realm at will, yet he didn't. Since the other party had given her face, she would not delve into his real purpose. Chapter 32. A flaw in the mindset. Qin Luan was somewhat dazed after waking up. As he gradually became alert, he realized that everything he had just experienced was an illusion, which startled him somewhat. Upon seeing a frail woman asking for help, he saved her out of compassion. Also driven by sympathy for the common people, he aimed to unify the world, ending wars and bringing about a peaceful and prosperous era. Although he managed to end the wars and establish a new country, he knew very well that his so-called compassion was simply lust for the female body. If it weren't for his strong belief in advancing his own cultivation, abstaining from ingesting heavenly and earthly treasures, he might have truly fallen into the illusion. Qin Luan was quite intelligent. He quickly figured out what the secret realm was testing for. Seeing that only he and Zhongli were awake, he realized that they were the only two who had passed the first test of the secret realm. And Kong Li, who had woken up even earlier, was someone he couldn't help but admire. Brother Kong truly hides his strength well. he commented with heartfelt admiration, self-ridiculing his previous arrogant claims about others. In his view, breaking through the secret realm in a month was extremely fast. He believed no one of his generation and level could surpass him. Yet, the reality was, he was still not the best among his peers. He had to curb his arrogance. Breaking through the secret realm didn't enhance Qin Luan's perspective, but seeing someone superior to himself, Zhang Li, made him aspire to reach higher. All luck, just pure luck, Zhang Li laughed. What a humble person. Qin Luan gained even more respect for Zhang Li. As Zhang Li waited, somewhat bored, he turned to Dream Pure and started to mutter. Could older sister Dream allow me to see how the youngsters are performing in the illusion? Not long after he spoke, a smooth, mirror-like surface that seemed to be composed of condensed mist appeared, reflecting the others' performances inside the secret realm. Thinking this was a perk for those who woke up first, Qin Luan moved closer to watch. The man whose body had been taken over was called Li Lidong. The watery mirror was displaying his illusion. Most of the illusions were quite similar, with a pitiful young girl asking for rescue. But while Zhang Li had encountered Dream Pure and Qin Luan had encountered another girl, Li Lidong found himself facing a different girl. After rescuing the girl, Li Lidong also pacified the world and saved the masses in accordance with the girl's suggestion. But his methods were brutal with countless murders, and he blunted countless blades. He believed that saving the masses was a condition for passing through the secret realm. Even though he was in a body that had undergone divinity transformation, if his former self had come here, he still wouldn't have been able to detect it was an illusion. Li Lidong's cultivation also gradually increased as he murdered, approaching the limit of the foundation establishment stage. Zhang Li recognized that his cultivation technique was linked to the absorption of qi and blood. Killing would maximize the release of a person's qi and blood, which he could then absorb. Such techniques were similar to the demonic path, though they were not exactly the same. The demonic path is a concept, while techniques are merely techniques. There are no demonic techniques, only practitioners who follow the demonic path. Most who practice such aggressive techniques usually choose to join law enforcement or military institutions. There are also a few who join sects and rely on the battles between sects to advance themselves. Li Lidong belonged to the latter group. Li Lidong felt at home in the illusion, having a large number of qi cultivators at his disposal for advancing his own cultivation. If he was in the outside world leading troops, he would certainly be at the foundation establishment stage, just cannon fodder. But battling the forces in the illusion made him feel like a war deity. In that moment, he felt like he had returned to his previous self at the peak of divinity transformation, admired by the masses. Li Lidong did ingest heavenly and earthly treasures, but very carefully, taking only minimal quantities. Clearly, he knew that excessive reliance on such treasures would have aftereffects and would lead to difficulty in making breakthroughs later on. He unified the world in 20 days and consolidated his power in a month and a half. He even advanced to the early phase of the Golden Core stage, but he still couldn't pass the test. However, Li Lidong was in no hurry. This respect from people made him very content. It was quite similar to his previous life's experiences. Beyond the 9 great empires in the 9 states, there were hundreds of small nations with rulers at around the divinity transformation stage. 2 months later, as Li Lidong did not indulge in the pleasures of the harem, the illusion determined that he had not succumbed to lust, thus crossing the threshold. Although Li Lidong liked beautiful women, his cultivation technique was the child technique, which forbade him from indulging in sexual desires. There was no choice. The most powerful technique he knew was the child technique. His situation was quite hopeless. However, upon closer examination, Li Lidong actually did have a strong will, fulfilling the criteria needed to pass. After Li Lidong woke up and found out he was still in the later phase of foundation establishment, he realized he had gone through an illusion, and felt somewhat hollow. Seeing Zhang Li and Qin Luan intently gazing into the water mirror, he knew that he only ranked third. This made him very unhappy. As someone who had undergone body possession, he looked down on foundation establishment cultivators and thought he was naturally superior to them. He even had the ambition to become the first in this secret realm trial, hoping that the reward for getting first place would greatly aid his return to the divinity transformation stage or advancing even further. However, if he only ranked third in the first layer, to become the overall first, he would need high scores in the second layer. He felt uncertain. With this in mind, he had a cold, murderous look on his face, as all had signed a life and death contract before entering the secret realm. If something happened within, the Great Joe wouldn't be held responsible. Boom! With his energy surging, Li Lidong cut into his palm and used his blood to form 2 blood daggers, which he then sent flying towards Zhongli and Qin Luan, like cannonballs. After all, martial power was the foundation for cultivators. He had great confidence in his martial power. "Brother Kong, look out!" shouted Qin Luan, standing protectively in front of Zhongli. He could feel an immense pressure. This person was more intimidating than Song Ying and the 7 killers, and he might actually lose. Without uttering a word, Zhongli kicked Li Lidong aside, with neither Qin Luan nor Li Lidong himself reacting in time. So, someone of such a caliber could become a divinity transformer. I'm really curious about what fortune he had stumbled upon. Mockingly, Zhongli went back to watching the water mirror after his casual remark, which was clearly transmitted directly into Li Lidong's mind. This exposed Li Lidong's biggest secret, sending him into a fearful cold sweat, as if he had just been fished out of the water. At the unity stage. This was the unity stage. Zhongli noticed Li Lidong's reaction with his divine sense, and shook his head lightly. It appeared that his intention to poke at Li Lidong's weak spot was in vain. Since it was a transmission directly into his mind, Qin Luan didn't hear it, and only admired Zhongli even more. "Brother Kong, which sect do you belong to? Your cultivation is impressively powerful." In Qin Luan's view, Zhongli's strength was due to his powerful technique. Zhongli laughed and replied, "Want to join my sect? It's not impossible." Zhongli didn't deceive Qin Luan. With his talent and state of mind, he totally had the qualifications to become a candidate for the human emperor and compete for the position of the next human emperor. "Look, now it's Song Ying's illusion." Qin Luan wanted to say something else, but upon hearing it was Song Ying's illusion, curiosity got the better of him. He was eager to see how Song Ying had chosen. Chapter 33. Strengthening as desired. The illusion created by Song Ying was different from others. The one she saved wasn't a handsome man or a beautiful woman, but Qin Luan, who was at the qi cultivation stage. In the illusion, Qin Luan said that as soon as he entered the illusion, he was suppressed to the qi cultivation stage and was currently being chased by bandits, relying on Song Ying for protection. Song Ying was so delighted that she couldn't close her mouth for a long time. After Song Ying unified the world and shared the throne with Qin Luan, she found rare treasures to feed Qin Luan and finally let him recover to the late stage of foundation establishment. Afterward, Song Ying gave up the world and retired to the mountains with Qin Luan. The illusion determined that Song Ying had resisted the temptation of power and passed the level. Qin Luan's expression was dull, as if he didn't understand everything Song Ying had done in the illusion. "Why, wasn't the demoness supposed to disrupt my moral compass? Why did she save me? Why didn't she eat the treasures of heaven and earth? Why did she give up the throne? Why?" Qin Luan's body trembled slightly. He didn't speak, but he didn't have the mood to watch the water mirror anymore and walked to a distant place. He wanted to be undisturbed for a while. Afterward, people passed the illusion one after another, but it took a long time. The one Qin Luan had faith in, 7 kills Taoist, took a whole year to pass, others took even longer, and some even died of old age in the illusion before coming out. Obviously, they couldn't pass. The voice of Dream Pure came from the sky. "At present, everyone has left the illusion. The top 100 fastest people can enter the next level, and the others fail the challenge and leave the illusion." Neglecting the objections of those ranked in the rear, Dream Pure directly expelled most of the people from the illusion. "Now announce the ranking of the first level's test." Somehow, Zhongli heard a tone of schadenfreude from Dream Pure's voice. Probably it was an illusion created by the distortion of the voice. First place, Emperor Zhongli. Second place, Qin Luan. Third place, Li Lidong. Fourth place, Song Ying. Fifth place, Li Fugi. Remark, this is the 7 kills Taoist. 100th place. When Emperor Zhongli was announced, the crowd was like a barrel of gunpowder, exploding all at once. The first place was Emperor Zhongli. The first reaction of the people was that the secret realm was wrong, but then they realized that the owner of the secret realm fell 800 years ago and didn't know Emperor Zhongli at all. It could only be that the real Emperor Jianli had arrived here. Thinking of this, people were excited. Who would care about the test of the second level? Everyone was looking for Zhongli's figure. Qin Luan and Li Lidong's reactions were the biggest. Qin Luan was standing right next to Zhongli. Now he didn't dare to take Zhongli lightly, he became cautious. Li Lidong was struggling whether he should shamelessly kowtow to Zhongli or pretend not to care to show off his noble character and let Zhongli look up to him. Suddenly, a wave of unignorable sleepiness surged into their hearts. Even the excitement of Emperor Zhongli being next to them could not resist this sudden sleepiness. Zhang Li was alright, only he felt that this sleepiness was related to the second level, and took out a quilt from the storage ring, comfortably entering the dream. Everyone was amazed to discover that they were in the place where the mountains and seas met, with towering mountains on the left and endless blue waves on the right. Moreover, after entering the dream, they actually saw other people. Could it be that the dream was interconnected? Li Lidong knew what was going on, but he didn't condescend to explain it to a group of Foundation establishment stage cultivators. It's the dream path. The well-informed 7 Kills Taoist figured out what was happening. Everyone, don't make a noise, listen to Li Fugi. Someone tried to keep order, which made the 7 Kills Taoist's veins bulge. Who the hell called that? I'll chop him to death. Oh, it's Qin Luan. It's fine then. 7 Kills Taoist calmed his emotions, went on to say. I've heard from my elders that there's a rare cultivation method named Dream Path. You can cultivate in your sleep, and when you encounter an enemy, you can force your opponent to fall asleep, drag them into your dream, and confront each other in the dream. It's just like the current situation. Zhang Li nodded. The 7 Kills Taoist wasn't wrong, but he didn't mention a crucial point. I didn't know whether he genuinely didn't know it or was deliberately withholding information. Now announce the second level's test. Dream Pure's voice echoed again in the black space. This time, Zhang Li was sure that she was gloating. There are currently 100 cultivators entering the dream. Here, you can imagine your strength at will. Please start fighting, and the last person standing wins. Everyone was confused. The last sentence wasn't hard to understand. The challenge was the fight, but what did it mean by you can imagine your strength at will? Do you mean that if you think you're strong, you can be strong? The 7 Kills Taoist quietly snorted. Someone vaguely understood Dream Pure's meaning and tried to lift a distant mountain by pretending to hold it with his hand. And that mountain was indeed lifted by him. How is this possible? Seeing this, the others understood Dream Pure's meaning. This place is a dream, and you can do whatever you want. Your strength is only limited by your imagination. Golden Core. I've broken through to the Golden Core. Someone imagined himself as a Golden Core cultivator, overjoyed that he had actually broken through the Foundation establishment stage and become a Golden Core cultivator, even a first-class Golden Core cultivator with a fully formed core. Golden Core, what's that? Watch me break through to the nascent soul. Someone sneered at the Golden Core and imagined himself as a nascent soul master. He jumped past the Golden Core and directly became a nascent soul cultivator. All you know is breakthroughs. Look at my true Qilin form. That person transformed into a Qilin of thousands of miles, rushed into the ocean like a sword, and turned into a huge Qilin causing huge waves in the sea. What good does a mythical beast have? Come, Dharma manifestation in the world. Come on, fight, come on, fight. The Qilin emerged from the ocean, turned back into the rock and stirred up a massive storm, clashing with the giant person who had manifested heaven and earth-sized magic. At this moment, both the Golden Core and Nascent Soul were nothing but dust. They didn't marvel at them. The battle between the rock and the Dharma manifestation in the world was comparable to a desperate fight between great cultivators at the body integration realm. With the rock and Dharma manifestation in the world as examples, everyone finally understood Dream Pure's meaning. In an instant, the scene was in chaos, with long-lost tribes pulling the Golden Crow for a tug of war. Someone was lifting a mountain to fill the ocean, someone turned into a real dragon howling, someone roared and shattered the 9 heavens, someone was like a walking heavenly tribulation, turning everything he passed into scorched earth. Everyone was having so much fun, so they all forgot about Zhang Li. The ability to become as strong as we wanted, to transform into anything, was every cultivator's dream. I am a true dragon, the Lord Ot the Tour sees, who is stronger than me. The person who transformed into a real dragon was extremely arrogant. He was the Lord of the 4 Seas, a truly powerful transcendence tribulation expert. He was a body cultivator. The best medicine bath he had used was also diluted with a lot of Jiao blood. Now, by taking advantage of the dream, he directly transformed himself into a real dragon, which made him very proud. True dragon, you are but a speck of tribulation smoke in the hand of the controller of my heavenly tribulation. The person in control of the thunder tribulation said with scorn, and a thunder tribulation struck down, causing damage to the real dragon. That's all. The person who had transformed into a real dragon also responded with a scornful smile, and the wounds healed quickly. The real dragon was known for its powerful body, so its healing speed was naturally extremely fast. The person controlling the thunder tribulation was furious. You little mudfish dares to challenge my divine might. The person who turned into a real dragon was also angry when he heard this. If divine might is of this level, then I will rebel against this heaven. These two went all out, the dragon howl and the thunder roar mixed together, extremely frightening. Chapter 34. Intercepting the 7 Killings Steel. The true dragon passed the heavenly tribulation, affecting numerous individuals in its wide reach. The golden crow was launched sky high by a sweep of the dragon's tail, individuals affected by the Dharma manifestation in the world were rammed by the dragon's horn, members of the Sun Chaser clan were burned to a crisp by the tribulation, and the Kunpung in the sea were numbed from the lightning strike. Those affected were enraged. Everyone here was in the later stage of foundation establishment, no one showing significant weakness compared to the others. They couldn't stand the two having all the fun and acting like the big shots. The individual affected by the Dharma manifestation in the world and the Kunpung made instantaneous eye contact, forming a temporary alliance. The individual from the Dharma manifestation in the world tore off a piece of the Kunfish's tail, spinning it around twice in place before launching it directly at the true dragon, breaking off one of the dragon's horns. Some people lifted mountains and tossed them towards the person manipulating the heavenly tribulation, only to have the mountains shattered by the sky lightning. You think these little hills can hurt me? PFFT. A golden crow, hidden among the mountains, surged skyward like a brilliant sunrise, burning the shoulder of the person controlling the heavenly tribulation. Watching the group's fancy fighting, Zhongli began to reflect. He pondered if his own fighting style was too dull, just simply punching through. Should he bring in some flair? Perhaps wielding something like the Zhan Yuan sword to enhance his appearance. The 7 Killings Taoists intercepting the 7 Killings steel was crazily spinning with his intention, 7 paths filled with killing intent breaking through the space. He shouted, every creature under the heavens is born of man, but no man is born of the heavens, kill 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 kill. Lani 7 Killings Dao 1 Street loved intercepting, Lani 7 Killings steel and Auden gathered related legends. Therefore, the 7 Killings steel he imagined had a formidable power like a real immortal artifact. This was an imagined power based on his own cognition. He had heard of the imposing might of a tribulation crossing cultivator, but he didn't know how to break through the transcendence tribulation stage. He could only imagine himself as a cultivator newly entered into the body integration realm. His level was about the same as Taoist Zhan I, which was somewhat exaggerated. Thus, he couldn't unleash the full potential of intercepting the 7 Killings steel. Nevertheless, with a cultivator in the body integration realm controlling an immortal artifact, he was indeed terrifying. Li Fugi, stop pretending and playing big shot. Do you actually think you've become the 7 Killings Taoist? Qin Luan sneered from the side. He did not imagine aimlessly. Instead, he continuously imagined his circumstances after core formation, what kind of golden core would best suit him. In just this respect, he could surpass everyone present. On hearing Qin Luan addressing him by his secular name, the 7 Killings Taoist was instantly infuriated, but seeing Qin Luan merely at the golden core stage, he quickly cooled down. After all, what was a cultivator from the body integration realm winging about with a golden core stage newbie? He casually threw out a streak of killing intent. He wanted to chop off Qin Luan's sharp tongue. 7 Killings Taoist, how dare you? Song Ying rushed to their defense, releasing an illusionary cyan lotus to block the intentional killing blow. Zhong Li wore a strange expression. Currently, Song Ying was dressed in the robe of red dust pure land, her weapon a cyan lotus, looking a lot like pure heart saintess. Indeed, Song Ying worshipped the pure heart saintess, so she had adopted her appearance in this dream. But as she had never seen the face of the pure heart saintess, she was forced to cover her own face with a veil, adding to the mystery. Hee, what don't I dare? Facing Song Ying from the body integration realm, the 7 Killings Taoist took it seriously. He was determined to chop off Qin Luan's tongue today. Even if the human emperor showed up, he wouldn't be able to stop him. Watch him do it. The intercepting the 7 Killings steel's glow intensified, sword intent crisscrossing through thousands of miles. The true dragon, entangling opponents on the side, was so badly scratched it lost several scales. Hundreds of thousands of mountains were sliced in half, the top separated from the base. If the sidelines were already so intense, it was easy to imagine the power of the sword intent faced by Song Ying and Qin Luan. Song Ying shielded the two of them with multiple layers of cyan lotuses. However, because the cyan lotuses weren't truly summoned by the pure heart saintess, the defense was limited and ultimately soared off, blown away by the 7 Killings sword intent. However, it was a blessing that they were protected by the cyan lotuses, otherwise, the endless sword intent would have chopped Qin Luan into pieces. Zhong Li dissolved the impact on Qin Luan and Song Ying using his spiritual energy, helping them land steadily. On recognizing their savior as Zhong Li, Qin Luan and Song Ying, aware that Zhang Li was the human emperor, quickly bowed in gratitude, expressing their appreciation for his life-saving grace. Zhang Li dismissed their thanks with a wave. It's not life-saving. No one can die in a dream. After a moment's thought, he said. However, there are great opportunities in the face of great dread. Maybe it would be good for you to experience it once. Song Ying rejected immediately while Qin Luan was all eager to try, seemingly eager to experience death. Haha, just kidding. It's not advisable to toy with death. Quite the hot temper, aren't you? Zhang Li, turning around, said jokingly to the Seven Killings Taoist. Human Emperor Zhang. The Seven Killings Taoist slightly bowed, showing respect but not too much of it. I only wanted to test my potential. The Seven Killings Taoist recognized Qin Luan, Li Lidong and Song Ying, waking up as the fifth person. It was not hard to recognize that Zhang Li had transformed himself into the human emperor. Zhang Li sighed, returning to his original form. I shouldn't have told the truth to Dream Elder. How about it, do you want to compete with me? Zhang Li could tell that the Seven Killings Taoist was itching to try. Please teach me. The Seven Killings Taoist took a stance. He was presently in the body integration realm, and with the intercepting the Seven Killings steel in his hand, he had just defeated Song Ying and Qin Luan easily. He suddenly felt that no one was his match and was inspired to challenge Zhang Li. Zhang Li didn't mind. Young people would not know the extent of their reach, which was normal. When he was in the foundation establishment stage, if something like this happened, he would have dared to challenge the previous human emperor, too. Moreover, compared to everyone else's reverence towards him, he preferred being challenged. The intercepting the Seven Killings steel trembled slightly, the released sword intent shattered the surrounding airspace into a vacuum around the Seven Killings Taoist. Fortunately, the Seven Killings Taoist was currently in the body integration realm, capable of completing auto-intoxication, so he didn't need to exchange oxygen with the outside world. Otherwise, he would have suffocated to death. The intercepting the Seven Killings steel transformed into 7 immortal swords, levitating vertically around him. The Seven Killings Taoist grabbed one of the swords, shouting one word. Kill. The sword thrust out without any fancy maneuvers, but nonetheless Qin Luan saw Zhang Li, who didn't move forward, getting closer and closer to the Seven Killings Taoist. He immediately realized what had happened and exclaimed. This sword is severing the space between the Seven Killings Taoist and Zhang Li, making the distance between the two of them shorter. How sharp this sword could be. Qin Luan knew little about intercepting the Seven Killings steel, nor did he know that it could transform into 7 immortal swords and clip a corner of the immortal realm. Zhang Li, facing this sword, neither dodged nor evaded. Instead, he extended his thumb and index finger, gently holding the Seven Killings immortal sword as if he was holding a feather. The Seven Killings Taoist opened his eyes wide, unable to believe his eyes. According to his thoughts, even if he couldn't injure the human emperor, he should at least be able to put some pressure on him. How was Zhang Li able to catch the immortal sword so effortlessly? This was an immortal sword transformed from intercepting the Seven Killings steel. Well, it's quite something. A regular cultivator at the body integration realm can't block this sword. However, it's rather difficult to even hurt a cultivator at the Transcendence Tribulation stage with it, let alone harm me, Zhang Li evaluated. With a slight exertion of his fingers, he lightly tossed the immortal sword, along with the stunned Seven Killings Taoist, behind him. Chapter 35. There's no need for idealism in dealing with the human emperor, let's all go at once. Kashi Daozi's movements were too drastic, attracting the attention of the other fighters who were deeply engrossed in battle. They looked at Zhang Li, understanding that he was the current human emperor. If it had been in the past, they would have greeted Zhang Li with utter respect and admiration. Although they still held Zhang Li in high regard, recognizing his strength, they now also felt strong in their own right. They believed they could hold their own against the heavenly demons from other realms. This belief diminished their worship of Zhang Li considerably. Even Li Lidong, the man who had seized another's body, shared this viewpoint. Now that he was a Mahayana realm cultivator in the later stages of body integration, he felt inflated with power and was confident that he could hold his own against any heavenly demon. My friends, don't you wish to gain guidance from the human Emperor Zhang? This is a once-in-a-thousand-year opportunity. Kashi Daozi, who had been tossed aside, managed to stabilize himself and incite the crowd. He gave restive individuals a reason to act. Zhang Li laughed and responded. All right. He then turned to Qin Luan and Song Ying, saying, you two can also join them and fight against me. Song Ying hesitated a bit. She had not been inflated with temporary power and still held Zhang Li in high esteem, not daring to take action against him. Moreover, she thought that Zhang Li was speaking sarcastically out of annoyance with the crowd's disrespect towards him. But Qin Luan knew better. Zhang Li was taking this opportunity to provide them with guidance. Seeing Zhang Li was already not easy, let alone receiving guidance from him. This was a rare opportunity. If they missed it now, they would regret it for the rest of their lives. What a fool! Human Emperor Zhang is willing to guide us, yet you're turning him down. Only then did Song Ying realize her misunderstanding. Quickly, she grabbed Qin Luan and joined the eager crowd. The first to take action was Li Lidong. He had been kicked away by Zhang Li before. Believing that Zhang had bullied him because of his lower realm, he was quite resentful. Now that he had gained unimaginable power, he naturally wanted to settle the grudge. He imagined himself fighting against the world, killing thousands of enemies, gaining an immense amount of energy. This allowed him to reach the later stages of body integration. Right now, his energy was churning like a vast ocean, overflowing to the heavens. His two blood blades had evolved into two machetes that could cut through mountains and divide seas. Their aura was impressive. Human Emperor Zhang, enlighten me. Zhang Li no longer held back, restoring his true power and delivering another kick. RLHVVO blades crossed over and Li Lidong used them to shield himself. But against Zhang Li's kick, he still was sent flying far away. Brother Lidong, let me assist you. Quote, the four-clawed true dragon plunged into Li Lidong's ocean of energy. Its dragon blood surged and raw strength spiked. Even the dragon's broken horns began to grow back. Dragons possess robust physical bodies with abundant energy. Now, amidst this ocean of energy, it pushed the limit of its physical strength up a notch. Once again, Li Lidong used his energy to forge twin blades. Together with the true dragon, they attacked Zhang Li. Zhang Li made no polite gesture. He took the twin energy blades in his hands, grabbed Li Lidong by both shoulders, and with a gentle force, disarmed the man. He then sent Li Lidong flying with another kick. Li Lidong flew at an incredible speed, crashing into 3 mountains before he finally fell unconscious. Facing the ferocious four-clawed true dragon, Zhang Li shattered 3 of its scales with a punch, causing the dragon to howl with pain. The human race also has body-refining techniques. The Arhat of Mount Sumeru can subdue real dragons, and Zhang Konggu from the Imperial Palace can withstand heavenly tribulations using his physical body. Why obsess over the bodies of other races? Zhang Li grabbed the dragon's horn and threw it into the crowd, causing quite a disturbance. Under Zhang Li's guidance, the true dragon had an epiphany. He had been fixated on acquiring high-quality dragon blood to transform himself into a dragon human. But the structures of a human and a dragon's bodies are different, a perfect amalgamation is impossible. The dragon transformed back into a human, and deeply bowed to Zhang Li. Determined to rethink his body-refining path after leaving the secret realm. Just moments ago, the crowd had seen how strong Li Lidong and the four-clawed golden dragon were. They could easily rank in the top 10 amongst themselves. However, even they were defeated by Zhang Li in a single move. Realizing that arrogance would do them no good, they concluded that defeating Zhang Li as individuals would be impossible. They wouldn't even be able to make him move an inch. They stood a chance only if they came at him all at once. There's no need to play fair when dealing with the human emperor. Attack together. Quote. Someone from the crowd shouted, driving everyone launching an attack on Zhang Li. Qin Luan clearly saw that it was Kashi Daozi who had shouted. After doing so, Kashi Daozi hid within the crowd, pretending to be an innocent bystander. The golden crow blazed brightly, vaporizing all the moisture in the air in an instant. The members of the Chasing the Sun tribe assumed a running pose. The tension in their legs was like a drawn bow, ready to launch at Zhang Li at a speed so fast that it would leave an afterimage. Their massive frames running at such speed was akin to Mount Sumeru moving at high speed. The power was staggering. A coon fish leapt out of the great ocean and transformed into a golden rock. Its 100,000 feathers shimmered with golden light. Mysterious ancient runes danced upon them, revealing the mystery of transformation. The beak of the rock was deadly sharp. Contacted with a body integration realm cultivator would elicit a bloody hole in them. The man of Dharma manifestation in the world stood tall as a mountain, his hands could blot out the sun. With one sweep of his gigantic hands, it was as though the sky was falling. Kashi Daozi spat out a mouthful of blood, activating 7 immortal swords. Earth, fire, wind, and thunder rolled around the edge of the swords, giving the illusion of the reshaping of the world. The man who controlled the heavenly tribulation proclaimed the heavenly decree, commanding the heavenly tribulation clouds to gather above Zhang Li. The silver heavenly tribulation had an impressive aura. It could stimulate the heart demon of the person facing the tribulation, causing them to succumb to the heart demon while struggling against the heavenly lightning, ultimately being reduced to ashes. Among the crowd, the man who controlled the heavenly tribulation was considered the strongest. Even when facing multiple opponents earlier, he had held his own, mocking others for their weakness. Zhongli smiled slightly upon seeing such a wide variety of attacks. What an energetic bunch. I'm envious that you still have dreams. Unlike me, unable to imagine a being stronger than myself. Zhongli sighed, seemingly oblivious to the attacks, feeling sorry for himself. Although he was in a dream, Zhongli had not grown stronger. The reason being, he could not imagine any changes that could make him stronger than he already was. Oh. He wasn't much farther away from becoming immortal, all that he needed to do was enter the immortal realm and transform his spiritual energy into immortal power. But what did immortal power look like? He simply couldn't imagine it. Moreover, he was confident that he could defeat even a true immortal. As for becoming a member of a certain race, ever since he reached the Mahayana realm, the title of the strongest race had been firmly held by humans and had never been superseded. If it was about mastering a particular divine skill, he could imagine things like storing a world in his sleeve or sewing beans into soldiers. However, to him, these seemed to be more of life's small conveniences, making it easier to store and move things, and it couldn't make him stronger. As for mastering a certain immortal artifact, he felt that his halberd was the best among all the things he had stored in his storage ring, and it had become dusty due to lack of use because there was no enemy worthy of its use. As for mastering certain rules, he faced the heavenly tribulation as if it were a simple bath, and the rules of time and space were too difficult for him to imagine. Oh, how vexing. Upon hearing Zhongli's complaints, the crowd couldn't help but intensify their attacks. Even Song Ying, who admired the human emperor the most, felt an urge to hit him. Infuriating. Chapter 36, pointing out. The golden cronade, akin to a second sun. Everywhere it passed over set aflame, turning the lands into pits of hellfire. Zhongli remained unafraid of this heat, not even a drop of sweat flowing down his face. He sidestepped, seizing the golden crow by the roots of its wings and allowing it to flail as it pleased. It appears you've trained in the cultivation technique of contemplating the great sun realizing yang power. A good technique, indeed, but you've only focused on the golden crow as a representation of pure yang power. You've forgotten that the world consists of both yin and yang. The golden crow is only a part of the yang aspect, not the entirety. Go forth, seek out other representations of yang. Quote. Zhongli threw the golden crow towards the person utilizing Dharma manifestation in the world. The individual was pressing an enormous handprint towards Zhongli, but the sudden heat from the sun made him instinctively retract his hand. Zhongli unleashed his spiritual energy, forming a similarly enormous handprint, catching the wrist of the person utilizing Dharma manifestation in the world. With a gentle twist, the person was left crying out in pain. Your conceptualization of Dharma manifestation in the world is commendable, it has both offense and defense. However, a strong exterior is just a facade hiding a weak inner core. If you cannot endure the hardships and pains of cultivation, then on what will you rely? Cultivation demands suffering, yet suffering alone mars the root. The path of the ascetic is difficult to comprehend without clarity, it is through balance you will find the right wave. Engage in direct combat, let even getting beaten become part of your cultivation. The person utilizing Dharma manifestation in the world collapsed in pain. Everyone around was overcome with darkness as this massive figure fell onto the ground, eliciting chants of divine skills to create holes in his body and make their escape. They showered him with criticisms of incompetence. The pung reacted the quickest with a flap of its wings, soaring upwards to narrowly evade the person utilizing Dharma manifestation in the world. He had lost his parents at a young age and had been through countless trials and tribulations only to become the core disciple of a sect. Unafraid of pain, the method employed by the human emperor had no effect on him. He refused to believe that Zhongli could remain unfazed as he charged towards him with such a massive figure. You admire the freedom of the pung, a commendable desire. Zhongli could see that this individual was different from the true dragon and individuals from the golden house he previously encountered. His transformation into a pung was simply because of the creature's freedom. The pung could transform into a fish in the sea to compete with the true dragon, or transform into a large bird to soar through the skies. If the Kylan was free, then he would admire the Kylan. If the human emperor was free, then he would aim to become the human emperor. But order and law are important attributes in the greater Zhou dynasty, they do not suit you. If you sought a place where martial arts are revered, it would be more advantageous for your cultivation. Zhongli really didn't evade, he pressed down on the pung's beak, causing the entire head to curse into the ground. Majority of the body was left awkwardly sticking out, looking quite comical. Next, Zhang Li methodically pointed out flaws in others, easily defeating them in the process. He hadn't moved a single step throughout, and had even kept one of his hands behind his back the entire time. Even the descendant of the sunrace, Qi Daozi, Song Ying, and so on were unable to withstand even a single move from Zhang Li. The only ones left standing in front of Zhang Li were the one controlling the heavenly tribulation and Qin Luan. Human Emperor Zhang, catch this. The person controlling the heavenly tribulation had been gathering energy during this time. The dark clouds above Zhang Li were as black as ink, seemingly formed not from water vapor, but the convergence of dark heavenly lightning. His sect was famous for mastering lightning. Being the youngest disciple of the sect leader, he was naturally well versed in lightning techniques, especially heavenly lightning. Amongst all heavenly lightning, he believed that the heart demon immortal lightning presented the greatest threat and was the hardest to overcome. Who could possibly contend with the heart demon and the immensely powerful immortal lightning at once? He believed that no one could. So, it's the heart demon immortal lightning. What an interesting idea. Zhang Li had the experience of weathering 15 trials of immortal tribulation. He instantly realized the type of heavenly tribulation it was. However, its power is lacking. Zhang Li motioned with his hand, bringing the one controlling the heavenly tribulation towards him. They were both now within the range of the heart demon immortal lightning. In the world of cultivation, it was a rule that each person had to face their tribulation alone. The more people involved, the greater the power of the tribulation. The one controlling the heavenly tribulation's eyes widened in astonishment. He found himself unable to control the tribulation as the power of the heart demon heavenly lightning began to uncontrollably expand. 500,111. The sound of the thunder resounded throughout the whole space. All those who heard it were shivering in fright, indicating the immense power of the tribulation faced by the two men at the center. To the very least, the individual controlling the heavenly tribulation was terrified to the point his legs were trembling. Even Dream Pure, who was observing from behind the scenes, was taken aback. Zhang Li, standing before the overwhelming tribulation, was unperturbed and even started to yawn. He alone bore the burden of the double-strength tribulation while leaving the one controlling the heavenly tribulation facing the heart demon. I don't feel anything. Zhang Li smacked his lips, feeling that the tribulation lacked power. Though the one controlling the heavenly tribulation imagined the most formidable tribulation, to Zhang Li it was nothing. It wasn't surprising. After all, his sect was but a minor one situated in a remote corner of the greater Zhou dynasty. He had limited knowledge about the tribulations faced at the Transcendence Tribulation stage or the Mahayana realm. For instance, he probably only knew that the primordial Xiao Fan lightning was described as an unopposable celestial force. However, specifics about the strengths of this tribulation were beyond his imagination. Zhang Li also pulled over an utterly baffled Qin Luan. The power of the heavenly tribulation increased fourfold. Qin Luan panicked momentarily, but soon regained his composure and concentrated on fighting the heart demon. He trusted that the human emperor had only pulled him in to challenge the heart demon, not to face the terrifying lightning tribulation. Qin Luan's guess was correct, as Zhang Li continued to bear the burden of the tribulation. It's a bit itchy. Zhang Li bore the quadruple strength tribulation, still feeling it slightly lackluster. But he didn't pull over more people, allowing those around to breathe a sigh of relief. The others weren't ready to face such challenges. Forcing them to confront the heart demon would be premature. He couldn't simply destroy the talents of Zhu Zhou just because he wanted a massage from the tribulation. Zhang Li felt he was being rather sensible. The one controlling the heavenly tribulation kept his eyes closed, visibly trembling as he faced the heart demon. Zhang Li lightly slapped his forehead, pulling him out of the heart demon's influence. Little guy, you're eager to make others face the heart demon, but you seem clueless when confronting your own. After you return, make sure to reflect on how to confront the heart demon. The man slowly regained his senses from the fear of confronting the heart demon. He hesitated for a moment before asking, Human Emperor Zhang, why were you not affected by the heart demon? The heart demon was inescapable. Once triggered, a cultivator could only confront it head-on. There was no other way around it. He was convinced that even Human Emperor Zhang would not be exempted from this rule. Probably because I scared off my heart demon in the past. The heart demon doesn't dare to show up in front of me now. Zhang Li pondered before explaining. In the past, his heart demon had assumed the form of the various past human emperors, shouting, There is no need for chivalry, we should fight shoulder to shoulder. Only to be soundly defeated by him, left crying for mercy. The situation seemed to resemble the current one. The man fell silent, realizing Zhang Li's strength really exceeded his imagination. Making one's heart demon fearful, who was the actual heart demon here then? He expressed his gratitude for Zhang Li's guidance and retreated quietly. Before leaving, he shot a glance towards Qin Luan, who was still confronting his heart demon, feeling envious. If only he had the mental strength of Qin Luan, perhaps he could have earned human Emperor Yang's attention too. It was laughable that before entering the secret realm, he was foolish enough to believe that he could compare himself with Qin Luan. Now, he realized how far he still had to go. Chapter 37. The conditions for the birth of a new soul. Qin Luan unexpectedly overcame his heart demon directly, astonishing the bystanders. Very few people in all of JoJo could break through their heart demons at the foundation stage. How could the gap be so substantial among those at the same cultivation stage? Song Ying blinks his eyes, thoroughly delighted. Having been put in their place by Zhang Li and had their dreams turned into nightmares, they didn't dare to act oddly anymore. Creatures transformed when needed to, the Dharma appearance of the world was condensed when required, and the descendants of the Jeridian tribe returned to humanity when necessary. Before entering the secret realm, Qin Luan had approached the lone Zhang Li. Zhang found him kind-hearted. Now that Qin Luan has overcome his heart demon, Zhang Li firmly believes his temperament to be excellent. To Zhang Li, Qin Luan indeed possesses the qualifications to become a candidate for the human emperor, excelling in both talent and character. Whether he can become an actual candidate for the human emperor, or even the human emperor, depends on his future fortune. Zhang Li asks, "What was your heart demon?" "As a child, my master often left me alone in the observatory, which was pitch black and seemed haunted. It scared me." "So your heart demon was a ghost?" "No, my heart demon was my master, Yuan Wuxing. The heart demon took his form, and I fought it." Zhang Li thought to himself, "Well done, you. Your master stopped me at Qingcheng's gate and you stopped me at the entrance to the secret realm. Both of you seem to have a knack for finding me. I wouldn't call it advice for you, rather, a suggestion. It's good to be steady, but at your age, some vitality wouldn't hurt." Zhang Li felt he was too mature, only steadily deducing the next realm within the dream path in his dream state. However, that's merely a suggestion. Maturity and steadiness aren't bad qualities, and being more lively doesn't necessarily mean smoother cultivation. With the end of this test, I will reward the top 30 based on their performance in these two tests. Dream Pure's voice sounded, indicating the secret realm was about to close. Everyone swiftly bowed to Zhang Li, chorusing, "Thank you for your guidance. Human Emperor, we will cherish it in our hearts." They did not desire the secret realm's rewards greatly. Obtaining guidance from the human emperor was much more valuable than the secret realm's prize tenfold. During the reward settlement, everyone would be separated to prevent them from seeing each other's rewards and fight once they left the secret realm. Did Senior Dream enjoy the view? Zhang Li met Dream Pure again and asked with a smile. Dream Pure unhappily responded, "Not really. I thought I would witness the legendary Mahayana realm, but you didn't display your true power." "Haha, I didn't have any choice. Besides that little fellow who transformed into a real dragon, with a body comparable to the Transcendence Tribulation stage, the rest of them were at most at the body integration realm. I couldn't unleash my full power on them. It'd traumatize them. What if I become their heart demon? Their cultivation would be affected." Zhang Li burst into laughter as he provided his explanation. The Transcendence Tribulation stage holds many mysteries, far beyond the imagination of the newcomers to cultivation. They could barely conjure an adequate image of the body integration realm, which was their utmost limit. Even Li Litung, who was once at the divinity transformation stage, struggled to comprehend the true Transcendence Tribulation stage, and in the end, could only envision himself at the peak of body integration. Only the person who transformed into the true dragon, thanks to his physical strength, barely reached the edge of the Transcendence Tribulation stage. Dream Pure also laughed and said, "That being the case, why don't you let me experience the grandeur of the Mahayana realm?" Being just short of attaining the Transcendence Tribulation stage, Dream Pure had watched many high-ranking cultivators of the Transcendence Tribulation stage in action and naturally had an idea of their true strength. Zhang Li, laughing, replied, "Senior Dream, do as you wish." In the dream state, Dream Pure practiced the dream path and the illusion technique together. The fusion of both could reverse yin and yang, turn the unreal into reality, transforming it into something both real and illusory. Despite her various marvelous spells, they couldn't escape from being solved by a single hand of Zhang Li. Zhang Li still easily defeated Dream Pure. As expected of the Mahayana realm that is even rarer than ascending to immortality. Truly formidable. Above the Transcendence Tribulation stage stands the Mahayana realm. This is common knowledge. During the days when the immortal ascension steps existed, one only needed to cultivate to the Transcendence Tribulation stage to ascend. There was no need to stay in JoJo to reach the Mahayana realm. Would it not be better to ascend to the immortal realm to cultivate immortal power? After the immortal ascension steps disappeared, people were forced to reconsider how to cultivate the Mahayana realm. They found cultivating to the Mahayana realm was far more challenging than ascending, leading to only Zhongli achieving the Mahayana realm after the disappearance of the immortal ascension steps. Zhong, the human emperor, came in first. According to the reward rules, you can make a request to me. What do you want? My cultivation technique, the great dream of millenniums. Do you want me to talk about the past? Or, do you desire me? Congratulations, host, for completing the task. Ignoring Dream Pure's playful remarks, Zhongli laughed. Senior Dream, what are you saying? I broke the rules of the secret realm by coming uninvited. It's not fair for the human emperor to snatch 0D opportunities from the cultivators at the foundation stage. How about removing me from the ranking list, making the second first, and the third second? As a repayment for Senior Dream not pursuing my entry in the secret realm, why not make a request that I can help with? Seeing Zhongli ignore her teasing, Dream Pure felt a bit disappointed. However, his subsequent words cheered her up again. She asked with anticipation, can I leave the secret realm and return to JoJo? Zhongli pondered for a moment and shook his head. Not yet, I see. Dream Pure felt disappointed again. Not yet, Zhongli sincerely explained. Senior Dream, you are well aware of your situation. You are currently just a strand of remnant thoughts that linger on in the mysterious secret realm. You must gather all of your spirit and soul to leave the secret realm. Human Emperor Zhong, you don't have to comfort me. My physical body failed the tribulation and has entered the cycle of reincarnation. Where could I gather my soul and spirit from? Without hope, Zhongli would not speak more. And when he does make a declaration, there is a sense of certainty. Senior Dream's remnant thought is the most clear-headed I've seen. Based on my speculation, if Senior Dream can maintain this state for another 200 years, she will birth a soul from nothing, becoming a new life form independent of the great Dream Scholar. Zhongli spoke with conviction, offering Dream Pure new hope. The birth of most life forms results from the continuous cycle of reincarnation, but there are exceptions. When an object receives an ample amount of substances containing spiritual energy, such as the essence of sun and moon, for a long period, it will give birth to spiritual wisdom, thereby bringing about a new soul. Normally, this process takes tens of thousands of years. But for Dream Pure, as a strand of remnant thought containing spiritual wisdom, the time required to birth a soul can be significantly shortened. This was the conclusion Zhongli reached while doing research about the direction of the underworld's gate opening. He also formulated a series of theories about the soul. Those who cultivate following the path of soul nurturing cried tears of joy after receiving this news. They almost worshipped Zhongli as the Chongqing ancestor. 200 years later, I will protect your path. Thank you, Human Emperor. Chapter 38. Please provide the coordinates of the immortal realm. After making the agreement with Dream Pure, Zhongli left the mysterious secret realm and heard many people bragging about receiving the Human Emperor's guidance at the entrance, which filled those unable to reach the second layer with jealousy till their eyes were bloody red. Serves you right for being greedy with the first level. What are a beautiful girl or power and treasure compared to guidance from the Human Emperor? This is a blessing that can be used for a lifetime. Of course, those who entered the second layer didn't mention about their overinflated ego and recklessly challenging the Human Emperor, only to be taught some life lessons by him. Considering that only Qin Luan and Song Ying were fearless enough to spread this story, they had to plan how to bribe these two. Qin Luan guessed their intentions when they all deliberately avoided the topic, so he decided to sit at the entrance to the realm and wait for his hush money. Interestingly, Yuan Wuxing also came. He was now a nascent soul cultivator and was at a mid-range level among various sects. After parting with Zhongli, he spent 2 months to increase his cultivation. Once he finished, he heard that his door's main disciple, Qin Luan, had arrived at the mysterious secret realm. Fearing that he'd be bullied by other sects, he rushed over immediately to offer support. As it turns out, Yuan Wuxing had worried too much. Because Qin Luan had something over them, disciples from various sects didn't even have time to protect Qin Luan, let alone bully him. Master, Little Luan, Master, you've become stronger. Little Luan, you've grown taller. The master and disciple, separated for 10 years, finally met, creating a touching scene. It was entirely unexpected to see Qin Luan treating his master like a heart demon and beating him up. Little Luan, I want to tell you, I saw Zhang, the human emperor, in Qingcheng. Quote. Master, I want to tell you, I saw Zhang, the human emperor, in the secret realm. Both master and disciple bragged to each other upon meeting, speaking identical phrases at the same time, creating a very awkward scene. It looks like I have a deep connection with both of you. Zhang Li appeared and greeted the master and disciple. When Yuan Wuxing saw that nobody around had noticed Zhang Li, he realized that it was Zhang Li who had used a spell. Zhang Li cheerfully said, I don't have any other business here, I just wanted to tell you both, Qin Luan has a chance of competing for the human emperor's throne, as well as Yuan Wuxing. In fact, Yuan Wuxing does not have a poor talent, but his mindset has been unfavorable. However, after following Zhang Li and witnessing the entire process of resolving Zhang Yixing's demonic case, his mindset improved significantly, qualifying him for consideration as a potential human emperor. If there's nothing else, I'll leave first. Upon finishing his business, Zhang Li left, leaving behind the oddly atmosphered master and disciple. Master, recently I've had some realizations and want to go out and experience it, but there can't be no one in the sect, you should stay at the Qingfeng View. Little Luan, now that I am a nascent soul expert, how can I be confined to the sect? Only by traveling around the world, increasing wisdom, can I break through again. You've been in the sect alone for 10 years, you must have deep emotions for Qingfeng View, so it's better for you to stay. You left me, a 10-years-old kid, alone at Qingfeng View and didn't ask for 10 years, yet you have the audacity to say that. Didn't I leave Qingfeng View just to find the opportunity for breakthrough? Without reaching the nascent soul stage, who will protect you? A few days later, when Song Ying eagerly ran to Qingfeng View, she found that the door was firmly closed. There was a poster pasted which read, the master and his disciple are traveling around the 9 provinces, the return date is not yet determined. Song Ying also said goodbye to her master and started following the footsteps of Qin Luan. Despite having gone through many ups and downs, Zhang Li couldn't suppress the excitement in his heart at the thought of being able to enter the immortal realm. Wasn't the original purpose of this shitty system just to use the teleportation function to go to the immortal realm? Please accept the storage ring with a capacity of 500 cubic meters. Because the storage ring cannot hold another storage ring, Zhang Li put the mini storage ring given by the system in his pocket without giving it another look. The reading function is enabled. You can remember all the contents in the books by touching their cover and consuming origin points. The amount of origin points consumed is related to the complexity of the content. Zhang Li thought for a moment. This function seems to be a little useful, not completely useless, but he doesn't use it that much. The teleportation function is now enabled, you need. Teleport me to the immortal realm. Zhang Li said the line he had planned beforehand. Please provide the coordinates of the immortal realm. A confident listener his whole life, Zhang Li started to doubt his hearing and repeated. Teleport me to the immortal realm. Please provide the coordinates of the immortal realm. A realm as big as the immortal realm, wouldn't you have the coordinates if I didn't? If I knew the coordinates of the immortal realm, I could go there myself, why would I need you? Zhang Li gritted his teeth and yelled. Infuriated by the system, Zhang Li's black hair fluttered, and a terrifyingly ruthless aura spread out, causing the spirit energy within a radius of thousands of miles to congeal. He was truly angry. Since he obtained this system, he has never gained any useful tool or function from it. The entire gift package for Qi cultivation stage beginners, the items in the mall are not as complete as his, useless pieces of maps, spiritual tools that would burst with a drop of blood, etc. Counterattack system, high blood pressure system. Zhang Li punched angrily, creating a hole in space. It was an abyss of darkness, and he didn't know how far the other world was. As long as Zhang Li knew the space coordinates of the other world, he could punch his way there himself, he didn't need any teleportation function. Didn't he initially request the old Buddha at Mount Sumeru to find the coordinates of the immortal realm because he could traverse through the void? Although threats like the gale in the void could make cultivators tremble in fear, they were able to traverse through the void in flesh, fearlessly. Zhang Li had always feared attempting to traverse through the void on his own to find the immortal realm because he was scared of losing his way. If he couldn't find the immortal realm, or even the 9 provinces, that would be a disaster. Without coordinates, there's a high chance of this happening. An unknown world has been detected, want to teleport? The sudden system prompt made Zhang Li paused. He pointed at the rift in space that he punched out and asked uncertainly. Is there another world on the other side? Yes, the system has detected an unknown world through the rift, do you want to teleport there? This system seems to be useful. Zhang Li exclaimed in joy. Can I teleport back? Considering the system's sarcastic attribute, Zhang Li had to ask one more time. If he couldn't come back, he would have to learn from Robinson and write a book called Drift Diary of the Human Emperor. The system has already recorded the coordinates of the 9 provinces, you can teleport back. Then what are you waiting for? Teleport. Zhang Li was overjoyed. With no worries behind, naturally, he would like to see the other world, maybe it's the immortal realm on the other side. Insufficient origin points, unable to teleport. Chapter 39. The Grey World. Zhang Li didn't find the existence of other worlds strange. Ancient books had already documented them. The worlds governed by the immortal realm were as numerous as the grains of sand in the Ganges, with a ladder to immortality established in each one. As long as people from those worlds met the standards for becoming immortal, they could ascend. The 9 provinces world had the highest number of immortals among these worlds. If there was an unknown world on the other side of the spatial rift, it was likely to be one of the many worlds governed by the immortal realm. Perhaps the ladder to immortality from that world was still there. How can I get source points? Host can obtain source points by completing tasks or selling goods. This system will buy source points at 1/3 of the mall's price. A swindler indeed. Buying at 1/3 of the price and selling at the original price. Even someone with a bit of conscience wouldn't say such thing. I have done several tasks, where are my source points? Does the host want to select a side task source point task? Yes. Initiating source point task. Please extract 200 jin of First Sun Stone from First Sun Mountain for the host. This time, Zhang Li didn't need to ask Sky Mechanism Tower where First Sun Mountain was. He had heard of it. It used to be a famous mine. However, due to the mine owner's unrestricted mining, it became a barren hill 200 years ago. At its prime, it could produce a ton of First Sunstone a day. Now, one could consider themselves lucky if they managed to mine 50 jin a day. As the First Sunstone was not a cultivation necessity, the mining costs did not proportionately translate into income. Naturally, nobody mined there anymore. With Zhang Li's skill, if he put his heart and soul into mining for a day, he could mine about 50 jin. Zhang Li pondered for a moment, then concluded that the task was pretty simple. He flew over the First Sun Mountain, and directly dug out the entire mountain range. Zhang Li didn't believe that an entire mountain range would not yield 200 jin of First Sunstone. The system hesitated for a moment before determining whether this action counted as having dug out 200 jin of First Sunstone or not. Congratulations to the host for completing the source points task, rewarding the host with 50 source points. Teleport me to the unknown world I just found. Another 56,800 source points are required. Insufficient source points, unable to teleport. Things are getting tough. Zhang Li clenched his fists. Zhang Li swore that if this damn system could manifest a form, he would be the first to cripple it. You need this many source points, why didn't you say so earlier? I have to complete tasks until who knows when. It seems I have to sell some items for source points. Zhang Li scanned them all. The most items available were all kinds of cultivation techniques. The cheapest could only cultivate up to the golden core stage and required 100 source points, while the most expensive could cultivate into immortality, requiring 1,000,000 source points. Zhang Li looked up at the setting sun and swiftly composed a technique called Sunset Heart Hook Technique. It could be cultivated up to the early phase of body integration realm. This technique could transform the afterglow of the sunset, and anyone attacked by this technique would involuntarily reminisce about their heartbreaking past, rendering them unable to fight. Once he sold this technique, he directly received more than 10,000 source points. Zhang Li smacked his thigh. Why didn't I do this earlier? It would have saved me the trouble of moving a mountain. Writing the cultivation technique for the Transcendence Tribulation stage is not easy, but there are plenty of techniques that can cultivate up to the body integration stage. Often, a Tribulation Crossing cultivator would only be able to write 3 to 5 cultivation techniques that could reach the level of crossing the tribulation and becoming immortal in their lifetime. Even Zhang Li would need to spend a dozen or so days to write them. But it was different for body integration stage cultivation techniques. Zhang Li could easily write 8 to 10 techniques that could cultivate up to the body integration stage. He looked at the verdant grassland and wrote, Cycle of Life and Death Technique, and Endless Life Technique. He looked at the mountain peak and wrote, Herculean Mountain Moving Technique. Zhang Li sold all of these casually written techniques to the system, suddenly gaining more than 110,000 source points. Teleport me to the unknown world. Initiating teleportation. The system can genuinely teleport this time. The space around Zhang Li began to distort, gradually forming a passage with another world. With one step forward, he traversed the barrier of the 9 provinces, the chaotic winds, the barrier of the unknown world, and arrived in the unknown world. With Zhang Li's discerning eyes, he could see the technique for moving through space employed by the system was extremely clever. How clever was it? It was so clever that Zhang Li couldn't understand the technique employed by the system. What the heck can I understand? I know nothing about the Tao of space. Zhang Li had originally planned to learn the system's spatial techniques, but then he suddenly remembered he knows nothing about the Tao of space. When I have a chance, I'll demonstrate it on Mount Sumeru. Old Buddha Sumeru knows the Tao of space the best, perhaps he can learn something from it. Is this the unknown world? Upon arriving at the unknown world, Zhang Li slightly frowned. The sparse spiritual energy here was exasperating. In the vast desert, Zhang Li stood alone in the yellow sand, letting the storm batter his protective shield. The overall tone of this world was a hazy gray, not a trace of green could be seen. Ordinary people could get depression from staying here too long. Step by step, Zhang Li measured the land, discovering that this world's gravity was the same as the 9 provinces. He grabbed a handful of coarse sand. Its material structure was more or less the same. But why is the spiritual energy so sparse? The distribution of spiritual energy in 9 provinces was uneven. Few places were known as Spirit Chi Forbidden Lands, where the spiritual energy was so scarce that even a single spiritual root cultivator could not reach the foundation establishment stage. The spiritual energy in this unknown world was even less than the Spirit Chi Forbidden Lands of the 9 provinces. There's no way a cultivator could be born in such a place. Zhang Li swept the area with his divine sense but couldn't find a single human figure. He could only see a group of gray beasts that looked like wolves, digging into the ground. Apparently, they were starving and started eating the sand. When the group of gray beasts spotted Zhang Li, they instinctively found him appetizing and planned to share this unseen creature among themselves. Zhang Li bound the entire group of gray beasts with one thought. Zhang Li had never seen similar creatures in the 9 provinces. He used his divine sense to scan the group of beasts and discovered that they were not eating sand because of hunger, but because their bodily structures determined that they could only eat sand. Their digestive, respiratory organs, etc., were all unlike anything Zhang Li had seen. Without the help of his powerful divine sense to analyze, he couldn't even identify the functions of these organs. These beasts had strong physical bodies, with the strongest having a body equivalent to the golden core stage and the others having bodies equivalent to the foundation establishment stage. For some reason, Zhang Li instinctively wanted to keep his distance from these beasts. They gave him a very uncomfortable feeling. Over the next few days, Zhang Li went around this world, but his brows never unfurrowed. He finally understood why the group of gray beasts were eating sand. Because this world only has 2 things, gray beasts and sand. Forget about humans, there weren't even other species. If the system told him that this was hell and the gray beasts were creatures of the animal realm, he would believe it 80% of the time. Compared to here, the 9 provinces is basically the immortal realm. Chapter 40. Isn't it enough just to have a hand? As excited as Zhang Li was when he went to the unknown world, he now felt equally disappointed. This gray world didn't hold a shred of interest for him. A world with only 2 kinds of things, how interesting could it be? The only use for this world was for Zhang Li to come here in the future to try and cross the tribulation, to see if there was a chance for ascension. Perhaps this world is connected to the immortal realm. Zhang Li could only comfort himself this way. The system had already memorized the coordinates of the gray world. As long as he spent more than 50,000 source points, he could go there. To Zhang Li, who could casually write a body integration realm cultivation technique, source points were like an open treasury. He could get as much as he wanted. What? Someone doing tasks for 50 source points? No, definitely no such person. Zhang Li inwardly denied it vehemently. The remote communication talisman vibrated and Zhang Li connected it. Brother Zhang, I haven't been able to contact you for several days. The investigation you asked me to conduct has results. The former human emperor candidates all said no one on their side saw the man in black. Another leader of the imperial palace contacted Zhang Li. That's strange. Zhang Li didn't understand. Why was the man in black so certain that he could become the human emperor? Or was he just spreading the way of the devil? Then you go to the Sky Mechanism Tower and post a commission. They have unconventional ways, let them investigate who taught Zhang Yixing the demonic cultivation method 380 years ago. Yes, Zhang Li opened many space cracks in succession, but he did not receive any notifications from the system about discovering an unknown world. It seems that he was just lucky to have found the gray world at once. A few days later, the system issued a new task. New task. The Great Zhou Dynasty Family Academy is about to start enrollment. The 4 great academies serve as preparatory schools for the Great Zhou Dynasty Family Academy. 60% of their students are able to pass the exam to the Great Zhou Dynasty Family Academy. You are not from the 4 great academies, and you have been laughed at by academy students. Please come first in the entrance exam of the Great Zhou Dynasty Family Academy. You can abandon this task. Task reward. 1 drop of true dragon blood, 1 beast transformation pill, unlock special task. Mystery of the Immortal Realm. Zhang Li automatically ignored the dragon blood and the beast transformation pill, and asked, "What is the mystery of the Immortal Realm?" You are not entitled to know before unlocking the task. Even though this system was as exasperating as always, it never lied. If it says it can teleport you, it can teleport you. If it says it gives you something, it gives you something. Since this task is called Mystery of the Immortal Realm, does it mean that if I complete this task, I can find the Immortal Realm? Zhang Li's heart itched at the sight of this special task, so he decided to take it. Moreover, the Great Zhou Dynasty Family Academy, it has been a while since he last visited. Zhang Li was a student of the Great Zhou Dynasty Family Academy, where he also met Ji, who was then just a prince. Back then, Zhang Li had just broken through to the foundation establishment stage and was being hunted down. In the end, he had no choice but to set fire to the 5 elements spiritual root with a resolve to die, intending to perish together with his enemy. The other party was also shocked. Burning the spiritual root, only a madman would do such a thing. Burning the spiritual root indeed brings about extremely strong combat power in a short period, but it is also extremely dangerous. It's a situation of life hanging by a thread. Even if one survives by a fluke, he will be reduced to a common man without spiritual energy. In the 9 provinces, having no spiritual root is worse than death. However, Zhang Li neither died nor became immortal, instead he forced the heavenly spiritual root to awaken ahead of time. The heavenly spiritual root is self-cultivated, showing the 5 elements. Spiritual root to the outside world. Only when a cultivator relies on the 5 elements spiritual root cultivation to reach the nascent soul stage, does the heavenly spiritual root awaken, making him soar into the sky from then on. Heavenly spiritual root is scarce, relying on 5 elements spiritual root cultivation to reach the nascent soul stage is even more difficult. The combination of both factors results in the appearance of a heavenly spiritual root cultivator once in 1,000 years. But there has never been a situation where the 5 elements spiritual root was burnt, resulting in the early awakening of the heavenly spiritual root. Zhang Li found that he had returned from the early foundation establishment stage to the 9th stage of qi cultivation, but his foundation was more solid, and after cultivating for a while, he surprisingly reached the 10th stage of qi cultivation. Where does the 10th stage come from in qi cultivation? If he kept practicing like this, all the way to the 20th stage of qi cultivation, would he still be able to establish his foundation? Zhang Li didn't understand his transformation. Hearing that the place with the most books in Great Zhou was the library of the Great Zhou Dynasty Family Academy, he wanted to go there to see if he could explain his situation. Although he didn't find the book he wanted, Zhang Li learned knowledge about cultivation from the system while studying at the academy. Based on theoretical knowledge, he speculated that he had a heavenly spiritual root and awakened ahead of time. After Zhang Li became the human emperor, he would come to the Great Zhou Dynasty Family Academy every 30 years to give a lecture, to repay the favor of solving his confusion. Time flies, 500 years have passed in a blink of an eye. When I left the academy I was a student, and now I am still a student. It was the season of admission, and students from all over the country came to take the academy's entrance exam, and the inns were fully booked. Zhang Li spent a lot of money to rent a nearby inn to prepare for the entrance exam. The previous task rewarded by the system was the function of source point reading, and the next task was to come first in the entrance exam. The hint was very clear, which was to let you use this new function to study and get first place. But Zhang Li thought it was a joke. He could get first in the entrance exam of the Great Zhou Dynasty Family Academy without relying on the system back then. 500 years have passed, he has now become a Mahayana realm cultivator, his knowledge is so extensive, so it should be easy to handle a little entrance exam. Using the system at all would be an insult to his intelligence. The history of the Great Zhou Dynasty Family Academy is long, dating back to the founding of the Great Zhou. It occupies a large area in one corner of the royal city of the Great Zhou, where land is as precious as gold. But no one dares to complain, because all the successive emperors of Great Zhou graduated from here. For this reason, the inns nearby are extremely expensive, not something ordinary people can afford. Usually, 3 or 4 people share a small room, living tightly packed together, and they all study hard day and night. Even the students of the 4 great academies look like they were studying hard. Zhang Li leisurely strolled around with his hands behind his back, his carefree demeanor contrasting strongly with the tense atmosphere of study around him. Someone who was annoyed by Zhang Li's demeanor was about to jeer when he was pulled away by a companion. "What's wrong? What are you stopping me for? I just hate people who waste their days. You've studied so hard you've become stupid." People like him are obviously very good students, they are confident. Another companion chimed in, "Look at those top students in our academy, don't they all seem to not work very hard? After taking the exam, they sigh and complain, but when the results come out, they're first in the class. Yeah, they sleep more in class than anyone else, and after the exam, they say they got this question wrong, and that question wrong. I thought that the first in the class was nothing more than this, but when the exam result came out, he was still first in the class, and I was still last." The person who wanted to ridicule was persuaded by his companions, and suddenly realized, yes, those who come to the great Zhou Dynasty Family Academy to take the entrance exam, how could they just come to go through the motions? It was a close call, he almost got slapped in the face. Better to study hard, don't stick your head out and get slapped by someone.